in North America. And we are so excited to welcome you to another show, another match day that starts our second round robin. And it's got some big names in it. My name is Rain Day. I'm joined by two amazing friends and colleagues here in the ALGS, Vicky, Kitty, and Gaskin. And we just casted a Mia. Vicky, your AC was broken all day long. You had to get a repairman, your dad. Did you fix it yet, or are you still dealing with the heat?
Wait, hold on. Vicky, no! Vicky,
no, Vicky, no!
Vicky.
It's not worth it! It's not worth it!
How can it be? How can it? I mean, I live in Florida. Florida. Listen, guys, if it's as any hot as it is in this house as we see these games, then I guess we're in for one heck of a banger.
I mean, get some tea. She's already in a jacuzzi in her green screen. It can't get hotter than that. Dan, I mean, as much as Vicky's going through it, you seem nice and calm and ready to go. I mean, it should be a fun day, though, regardless.
It's because the only thing I'm drinking is a nice, crisp Red Bull, baby. That keeps me going, keeps me through
nice
it. But
cool.
yeah, I mean, America's, it always gives me that extra spring in my step. We have a Mia, fantastic show. Have this hour break, I cool down, and then America's wakes me right back up again, baby.
It's beautiful. Hopefully, if you've been watching a Mia, you had a nice little break. If you're just joining us, well, we've got a lot to talk about top of show because this is a momentous day. This time in Apex, 5 years ago, we saw Valkyrie get introduced to the Apex Legends community in a Stories from the Outlands called North Star. Her dad being Viper and Valkyrie taking to the skies gave an idea of how to play Apex that we had not seen before in an aerial capacity. Vicky, this was a pretty momentous moment, and gosh, I mean, can you say enough about the Stories of the Outlands? There was a few-year run where those were just coming out left and right. What amazing storytelling from Apex.
Can we talk about the fact that this was 5 years ago, guys?
Crazy.
I remember when I saw this in my room. I was playing on a PS4 at the time, and I got so hyped because not only am I such a big like Titanfall fan, but the fact that I basically found a new main here and in Valkyrie, and being able to see just that transition over from like her story with her dad and listening to even some of her voice lines too, like, you know, basically just like old times, Dad. Literally what her voice line says. It's really cool to see how that's transitioned into even some playmaking opportunities that we've seen in the ALGS.
Yeah, Dan, I mean, when you talk about the ALGS, we've seen some momentous occasions, and one of them, truthfully, is a Valkyrie ultimate that changed the game. This is, of course, the iconic moment where Hal comes down from the heavens to win a title, but before that moment, Dan, they did this Valkyrie ult to even put them in position to win.
Yeah, made the decision to Valkin, and then that's before they got into that rock to come down from said heavens. I mean, that moment will live for me forever, as I'm sure it will for many fans, and in particular, the players. I mean, they loved that moment, as they should. It was really the defining moment for TSM back in the day for me. And maybe even, look, you were on the stage, got to enjoy that moment as well. But without Valkyrie, who knows what would have happened in that
I just want to say Hal's looking at me very lovingly. Okay, it's very loving. Man, that's a good guy right there. That's what Hal's looking. We wanted to show you this tweet from Hal, but unfortunately, because of the tweet, we had to blur out all of it. However, we can read the second part. Apex is still a joke, though at a comp level. Wow, shout outs. How we feel about that. See you tomorrow for more brain damage. And before that, takes complete ownership, no excuses. A little bit of a contradiction there, Vicky. That is the fun dichotomy of Hal. We know he can pop off in his leadership style, a little bit aggressive, but we also know that he can, his intention is to take accountability. Some people always, you know, have an opinion on how he goes about it, though, but clearly not happy with how things have gone over the first 2 match days.
Look, this is a guy who means business. You could tell from the very beginning, this guy literally grinds nothing but Apex all day, every day. And I love it too, because he's a very big fan of the Peaky Blinders. And whenever I'm looking at Tom and Shelby, I have in mind, why won't anyone ever listen to me? And I listen to his comms, and I listen to the way he talks to his team. And it makes you wonder, Rain, you know, what could be different?
Why do I have to do everything, man? Why are we triple staring? Can one of you just sit at the building and look around? Like, why do I have to spell everything else? Holy
Yeah, we did have to bleep some of that out. You can imagine he wasn't saying anything fun to his teammates. But Dan, that's kind of what we talked about. Vicky was alluding to, I've mentioned before, Hal has a leadership style that is more old school. He expects everyone to be at their best. If they're not, he's calling them out. There's no babying, so to speak, since we have so much baby in these baby comps we've been talking about. He is really saying, you own up, you get the job done, absolutely no excuses. Otherwise, you're hearing it from me.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with him. Like, why doesn't the team just do it in the building? And why doesn't he have... Otherwise, he's just going to be in a position where... and you're going to have 7 of them. And honestly, it just me off every single time. So I just want to see someone do a little bit better.
Did we plug into Hal's stream just then? I don't know. It sounded a lot like him. Dan, we might have missed you and picked up Hal instead. I'm sure he said something great, though, underneath it all. To me, leadership styles are important for as someone who's, come out of professional sports, and that's been my life. Dan, you've been a competitor. You played sports as well. Vicky, you compete in pretty much how many clips you can show people when you meet them in LAN, and you'll continue to do that for all eternity. That doesn't, you don't age out of that, by the way. One of the things that I think is important is to look at the moments that you do things well and build on them. It's also to look at the moments that you don't do well. This moment from full 11, where obviously Soviet is on top trying to have a great finish to the day. They actually spoil Falcons winning this. Soviet has a first place as a team. They're on fire. They go to the next time they compete, and then they get 20th place, Vicky. That is something that is, you got to say, that's got to be tough for an IGL to take.
Yeah, is this like a reflection too of the teams really figuring things out? Because getting a donut right after popping off and getting first place, it's tough, but it also highlights the differing IGL capabilities that we are also hearing within Americas.
And there's something really interesting about this. In fact, we had a chance to catch up with Soviet himself and talk about what it meant to go from hero to zero.
Immediately after the games are over, I'm kind of just super disappointed at myself. IGL, so it's like you feel the brunt of that weight more than anyone else. But I mean, we got 20th. It's in the past. All you can do is keep pushing, honestly. One of my teammates was like going through, I guess, the stages of grief. He was like, I can't believe we got 20th. Like, we're awful. And then it's like, okay, let's lock it in and prepare for the next week, pretty much. So.
Dabda, baby. I always forget the second D. Denial, anger, bargaining, something, and then acceptance. But he found his way there. And I think that's the key. When you have a moment like that, it's easy to get down, Dan. However, bouncing back, you've got to find a way to take what you can from that loss and turn it into the most valuable information that you have. Because you clearly know what works when you succeed. You clearly know what doesn't work. You should have at least a pretty decent idea of the formula you need to put together over the course of these next match days.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of they start overthinking things. You have such an incredible match day one. You feel on top of the world. You feel like you can defeat anyone. And then you start to think, wait, hey, are we a pro team now? Do we need to start thinking about this rotation a little bit more rather than just playing off like your initial thoughts and kind of vibes? I know that sounds really silly, but they are a squad who, they've come through the rankings. They come through the kind of challenger era, and now they find themselves in the same kind of lobby as Falcons. And it's two entirely different teams. You've got one team who are literally paid to do this. It is their full-time job versus people who are just coming into this for a little bit of fun and now find themselves in the big boy tournaments, essentially. And I think it can be a little bit overwhelming, and I'm hoping they'll bounce back today.
Yeah, there's a serious difference between coming in and doing this. Like we said, the Hal mentality, you understand why he asks so much, but it is because he gives so much. These guys, in Soviet and Future, this squad, they have the potential to give a lot, but they haven't done it yet. They haven't showed up not just week or month or year after year like Hal has. So he's got a track record of saying, I'm putting the time in. I expect that of you. We'll see if the route that Soviet and full 11 are taking will work for them. A little bit more relaxed, a little bit put it in the past. It's okay. We'll see. Let us know what you think in the chat. How are these IGL styles going to clash in today? So far, the team we haven't even mentioned, and we'll have some time in the broadcast, Vicky, to talk about them.
They're rain day, but it's going to be more important too because we do have these two different maps in the rotation.
Certainly. I love the way that we're starting this off because I think we've got two big storylines, two different ways to go about something. And yet pretty even results, Dan. Full 11 and Falcons are basically exactly the same, right next to each other in the overall standings, despite ultimate highs, ultimate lows, and then a little bit of an underwhelming performance. But we have to always remind ourselves when we're talking about Hal and Waltzy and Gildersons and the quality of Falcons, while they haven't gotten that win yet, and that's surprising to say, they are a team that when underperforming can still perform pretty much on average of the best teams in the world. And when they do get it going, I mean, there's nobody better.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, Falcons at their mediocre are still going to be at a position where they're going to be comfortable in the table. As is evident, they're only 2 points behind Full 11, who won a match day. Sure, Full 11 did fall off and lose a match day as well, but that's all Falcons need to do. They just need to ride that roller coaster just nice and easy, and they just keep climbing, and then eventually we will see that incredible thrill ride when Falcons finally get going.
Well, we have a fantastic slew of matches coming up. 3 Olympus, 3 Storm Point to kick it off. I'm going to let you guys get into it, Vicky and Gaskin, to kick us off with game 1 just approaching.
Thank you so much, Renee Gaskin. We are back at it again, AC or not. This is the competition at hand, and you mentioned Falcons. They will be going over onto the Rift. So you talk about a team that likes to ramp up and have a lot of passion. Hopefully, Build and Waltzy have had enough therapy coming out of scrims going into today's match day.
Yeah, and they'll have a nice trident to work with over towards Rift as well. A lot of people would have been focusing their draft position for that, but speaking of the draft positions, I mean, look at those numbers. Like pretty much no one prioritized Olympus. Everyone was focusing on Storm Point initially, but now you are going to see whether those who did slightly prioritize it, whether it will pay off by having a trident, for example, and being able to rotate very quickly. Certainly in EMEA, we saw an explosive time on Olympus. Very difficult to try and plan and coordinate around some of the zone pools that we did see, and I'm sure it's going to be equally as mental here in Americas.
Also, that expectation when it comes to these Valkyrie rotates that we also keep seeing, man. I hate the name, but the baby comps that have been coming out for a lot of these teams, kind of being a band-aid to at least finding yourself in a spot and reserve yourself in terms of the perks that you could choose for Valkyrie, and not really having to get a survey beacon scan when you get basically a flying UAV through walls once you have that perk activated, and maybe prioritizing the ring beacons. Once again, everybody, welcome to match day 4 in Americas. It is now groups A and B, and we are just getting started with the action. Starting things off once again for our first 3 games on Olympus before we transition onto Storm Point.
And you speak about that baby comp, and you speak about one of the integral factors of baby comp is, of course, Valkyrie as well. And especially with it being the 5-year anniversary of Valkyrie's release, I'm excited to see some Valkyrie action later today. Not going to see much of it here in the first match, but she definitely will start to appear, and we can start to think of the good times we've had with Valkyrie and all the players that have performed so well over the years. I think of Verholst, Albrelelli, Yuris, like names that just pop up as some of the greatest Valkyries of all time.
Instead, it's going to be Crypto clipping any sort of wings or interaction from the skies, because we got 19 Cryptos in this lobby. I think that's been also very interesting to see, Dan, how it's been transitioning throughout each and different regions of how these legend bands have been able to be played out.
Yeah, definitely. And it's one of those things that just happens. But speaking of things that happen, let's speak about expectations. Kurev, we had a chat with him before the broadcast. Let's see what he's thinking about this one.
I feel like for the team, just like staying ahead of the curve and just trying to be like the very best that we can, not only on the game but outside the game too, is like our goal. Of course, I can say like winning a championship or anything like that, but that's like always like the goal. Every team has that goal in mind, you know. For me, it's just like bringing a trophy, bringing a land for South America, basically. Just like trying to win something for Argentina and just all of South America, basically.
Trying to win it for Argentina. I like the attitude that Curve has brought into Pro League, and following this player has been fantastic, Dan, and it's a lot of pride. I love being able to hear the support from Curve and his family, giving him the energy that he needs, with NIP staying on top. Now they still have to continue to perform as we are taking a trip over to the south side of Olympus. Oh my gosh, the fact that it's going to be pulling over to the outskirts of Bonsai with little to no cover if you even rotate early on top of those bridges, Dan.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting final zone for sure, but it's about getting there. You are right. There's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations to find your way to the southern side of the map. A few teams that can move early, but for those who can't, they're going to have to try and fight their way through. On that northern side, Falcons currently closing into HUSS. You can also see Funds just taking down Envy, so we're going to have a little bit of commotion happening around the map, and it's HBM who are just trying to survive and seeing if they can get away here at this point. But as a Caustic, never really fun to be the last one because you're a little bit of a big boy, have quite the large hitbox.
Too thick for his own good here, forcing him to drop down from the high ground. At least being a control legend and being in that next zone could give you some room to breathe. And then he sees a team from the other side. I mean, where can you go at this point when you have so many teams already quick on their rotate, seeing if he could find some room to breathe?
Just a little bit. Anything. Looks like they are going to let him go, though, from what we're noticing anyway. And that'll be good. Maybe the HPM can get back up and we'll still have our 20 teams in the lobby as well. It's not really worth committing to try and chase that final player. Instead, it's about positioning here because there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be rocking up and playing in a similar spot. The real question is, can you actually use said banners and get back up to a 3? Because when the respawn beacon comes down, oh, you better believe there are going to be people who are going to have eyes on the prize to try and pick up some free KP.
Anything here to kickstart a strong gap in this first game. Able to get the banners, by the way. This is even bigger. They were looking at him. The shots hitting right behind his back, but he gets the shield swap. Even better. And with so many teams fighting right across the field from him, he at least has some time. Kuriv prowling about, but it's a focus on the fight that's happening right down below. NIP looks like they're picking up already some KP. Kuriv getting the knock onto Pluto with the Arc Star. Tuning into NIP after hearing what Kuriv has to say. It's a lot of pressure not only for these teams to prove something, but having to be careful, getting shot only twice, forcing Kuriv to go inside this building to reset.
Yeah, I love that he wants to bring a trophy to South America, to Argentina, of course.
Yeah.
You see one player just finally being caught out, but for Ninjas in Pyjamas, it's a team who definitely wants to be on top as well. Eventually, HBM do get eliminated, was unable to escape and find anywhere to call home to be able to potentially bring back the rest of the squad. But it is good to see Ninjas in Pyjamas on top right now. It's an org that has so much history throughout esports, and I'm sure they'd like to continue being decorative within Apex Legends as well. Now, for now, most teams have found their way to the southern side of this zone. Vicky, there's only about 4 or 5 teams who aren't within said zone, and they're kind of hovering around these northern areas right now, and probably will run into each other if they're not careful. I can certainly see Zest Fest, Free Thinkers, and Falcons are within similar areas at the moment, but they're all just going to be planning on how they get into this zone. Maybe they've got a trident to work with.
Most definitely here, just like HUSS do. Playing from the middle, Kimchi is going to be able to get that knock. Wanting to get a follow-up, though, you can see Jelly being on the altar. So many altars, too. Even going in from EMEA into these first games, something that we've seen persist throughout the course of the Pro League. And just looking ahead, EMP overhead. It's going to be Duke now looking ahead, too. But with these fights going down on the other side of Terminal, it's going to be Stallions meeting them onto the other side. NIP rotating from the right side of where Stallions is, but their focus is on purple Slushee. The res is coming out too. So a lot of action happening on the north side of Bonsai. Trident in hand, wanting to extend the lead and closing this gap. Here is Jelly, and here is Kimchi, and they're going to be able to follow up and get the loot that they needed. 18 squads now left, and it's just a clean freebie as they're going to be able to now look ahead at the rest of this lobby in the circle specifically, Dan. Because currently, there is nobody coming in behind HUSS. They have some room to breathe, and Stallions is just hanging out in phase driver, so they hear the fight, and even though with an altar portal, they're not going to overextend. With the first strike here, Red Bull first strike, after unfortunately for Caustic as a solo, it was inevitable for HBM to go down.
Yeah, sometimes you hope you're going to be able to escape, and when you've evaded the initial fight, you're like, all right, yeah, I'm going to get away. Don't worry, guys. I'll get us back on this map. And then, obviously, you run into a full 3 just waiting in a tiny little building. It's just like my ranked games, to be honest. I can never get away. Either I'm being chased or someone's hiding and waiting for me. It is very annoying. Now, you can see South side, very busy at the moment. I wonder though, because it is so congested, there's not going to be many people who will be able to get into any of those spots and make it playable. So the real question is, do you try and take some of this eastern side space and try and compete with the likes of Nice Guys, Men of Culture, or do you even try and be even braver and fight that northern side? Because NIP in the position they hold at the moment could potentially pick up a good amount of KP as teams start to arrive from the north. But if you get focused by all those southern teams, you are just going to be absolutely blasted as well. So it's going to be pretty tough for those who are arriving later.
Especially for the teams that have the information off the crypto, right? And we already noted how many cryptos that we have in this lobby. Literally everybody, every team -1 has a crypto. And Falcons in some trouble, having to be careful from this eastern side of the zone. Purple Slushee forced to play split up and hopefully see if they can get their third back into the action. Zest also on a Trident. Team Falcons looking right behind them. Tridents galore. This is what you can expect. If it's not Thuggets, it was Zest. And both of those teams end up skirting right past Falcons. And Purple Slushee, who did commit to the res, with Falcons about, are looking to hunt.
I think the question for Falcons is, when are we going to see them perform? It does feel like it is inevitable with a team like this and the history that they have and the expectations on their shoulders. That being said, they can just kind of ride through, play okay, and they're probably going to get there or thereabouts where they would like. They just need that one day where we see them at their very best. But it is also proving that the region, not so easy to conquer at the moment. Everyone seems to be on their P's and Q's and playing at their very best, as Liquid are just more than happy to sit here. And speaking of like teams and expectations, I really love this Liquid roster. As soon as I saw that this was the direction they were going to go with the pickup of Panic, he had an incredible year last year. Was one of the standout rookies that came in and really changed the way we saw the game in certain ways, and now finds himself on a top tier team as well.
The fact that we get to see the young legend Panic still continue on his domination in the Pro League is a chef's kiss too. And as Nicewig would put it, I don't want to see Panic on anything but a fragging legend. And I second that, or else Nicewig will crash out. Thuggets will be able to get the information on where this next zone is pulling to, and they're also going to be able to figure out who's within the vicinity thanks to them also having Crypto Drone. Falcons have been non-stop though in trying to take more of these fights, having to be careful in going right through the altar queue. Guild is going to be able to try to finish off Pluto. Pluto has just not really been able to sustain himself here. It's unfortunate. It's just been so much pressure. And here comes a 3-peat, though. They got an invitation in the mail. Crook and Deeds now backing away, seeing that the zone is closing in behind their backs eventually. And they do not want to get called out in the open like Deeds did. Purple Slushee eliminated.
Yeah, Falcons having to take the portal all the way back. And now they're going to be in zone here because of the third party that did come through. So Zest come out on top. HUSS also starting to move here. And Falcons now need to make a decision whether they want to go all the way around north. Because if they try and just force their way through that same spot, they're going to get held out. And that means they need to utilize these meds to stay alive and be able to get the chance to push on the northern side. But it's not going to be an enjoyable journey for them, that is for sure. One thing I've noticed, the big difference from EMEA to Americas right now is the pace of the game. We had a lot more early fights in EMEA on Olympus, but still only 3 squads eliminated as it stands going into the next zone, and definitely everyone finding space where they can, not wanting to take too much engagement and give away their spot.
Hey, Stallions though, getting the mythic bin. You love to see it, and I can't wait for everybody to see where this next zone is pulling. We've seen this so many times here. Falcons did get the reset and did get the rotate from the north side. Well, Ninjas and Pyjamas may not be so lucky because they also were forced to rotate from on the outskirts of the zone and playing very split up. Falcons could call them out with the Crypto Drone, Alter TP galore. Yanya finding Sykes as well. Team Liquid in a terrible position. You take the portal back, and unfortunately with negative leading this player 1, Yozi is the next to follow.
Shoot your gun! Well, you're not going to be able to turn away and run as a caustic like that. At least turn around and put a couple of bullets in for the rest of your team. Anyway, NIP, you said it, you mentioned it. They were very split as Thuggets get eliminated. We're down to just 15 teams, but it does look like NIP have been able to gather, and the Falcons fight is not quite going to happen because they are retreating, but they're retreating into potentially more danger here as other teams now starting to arrive. You've got a similar position over Solar Array here where HUSS and Zest are there. NIP going to take the portal back, but Falcons are right on their back legs now, and they're going to start to push in.
And with NIP now down a member, let's go into a listening with NIP.
Recall maybe?
No, TP got back.
Shot in the back. There's a solo here.
Recall.
No, I can. I'm pulling out.
There's like a Maggie right here.
Or an altar.
Okay, nice, Joe. Puna.
Why not? I'm gonna go to your corner, Cole. Swing in. Two.
Dead end. Wait, there then. If there's
Yeah,
a whole
that's
team on the right. Okay, bro.
And just like that here, this is the pressure that NIP had felt. And when you see so many crypto drones flying about, and yes, we have 13 Caustics, it'd be a shame if an EMP also were to delete some of these Caustic barrels. Skittles now going to be able to look beyond the team. It's right ahead. Oh, with the longbow shots, the 1-2, and the follow-up from Sacred to find the knock onto Jelly.
Suddenly we're down to just 11 squads as well, Vic. People have been dropping like flies. Speaking of dropping like flies, we're dropping out of the sky, but no connection just yet. Finally, you hit one. There we go. I wasn't doubting Skittles ever, as Walty is removed from the lobby, or at least temporarily downed on the lobby. Not quite removed just yet, but I'm sure imminently will be taken out, as sadly Falcons not able to get back up, and there's going to be plenty of teams that are trying to push them at the moment. You can see just desperately staying alive in the little bike shed. We'll get onto Bravo talking about those European bikes again shortly. If we're not careful, we need to move away from that area.
Hopefully, maybe we could just pull out with the rental instead. Stallions with the G7 after opening up the Mythic bin and infinite ammo. Talk about everybody stuck inside of the bike shed in a corner. Guild still alive, being able to find that finishing blow onto Waltzy. 11 squads left, and Sacred has been popping off all game. 5 KP, 8 total for Stallions, and Albert lately, he's the MP that they needed, the UAV rather, but Sacred just going right outside the tree line, gets shot, and Skittles is just trying to prevent them from trying to get the finishing blow.
That's why Sacred didn't want to overcommit to that fight, because he knew how vulnerable he was from up high. Elsewhere, Free Thinkers getting engaged here as well on the southern side, and you can see now that zone that is pulled a little bit further east away from Bonsai Plaza. And now we're going to have a lot of skirmishes happening around it as well, as Lord of the Rings gets the job done, and Flat will be eliminated.
Now shall not pass, but with round 4 closing in, they need to reset instead. There's a team waiting for them. They heard the fight going down. Orange, Lord of the Rings, he leaves him one. He gets the knock. Oh, he's going crazy, but when you're dealing with 2 purples and 2v1, it's even harder to clutch out. S2 get eliminated next. The zone closing in behind everybody. Kimchi taking another fight here, and Men of Culture only down to 2. Too many cheaters getting shot from behind. Everybody's looking at them from the outskirts of Bonsai. HUSS get eliminated. 5 squads left.
Stallions on a tear at the moment, 16 points, and currently in first place as well, with HUSS eliminated. They're down to just 5 squads, and Stallions will hold the northern side. They have to move the furthest, though, out of anyone in this lobby, so might require a little bit of help from this altar to try and generate them through. Void passage after void passage to pass through a lot of these obstacles, and now actually they might be able to push up onto Nice Guys, who are going to be, sadly, not very nice when they see this one happen, because it's going to be easy cleanup. Nice Guys eliminated. Stallions continue their threat in this lobby. It is 9 kills now for Sacred as we're into our top 4.
Literally playing with my favorite loadout too. With a double tap on the G7, Sacred. Hasta la vista as he backs away, but I'm not surprised having so much KP, Dan, when you got a gold R9, infinite ammo, and the G7.
Feels like cheating, really, a little bit. I'm going to be honest. It's one of those. If you had told me this loadout would exist, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, with infinite ammo being a thing as well, I would have laughed in your face. But now you've got those possibilities. You have that chance to really destroy someone with said infinite ammo, and certainly in the hands of someone like Sacred is a very scary, scary prospect. But now they have to work out how to win the game from here. They're on the other side of the wall. You've got Elite Esports that are going to be directly opposite them. Free Thinkers down in that southeast side. And then quietly going about their business, Vic, is Unreal Nightmare, who are within one of the few buildings still left in this zone.
And looking at the chaos happening right in front of them. Free Thinkers looking to the right, keeping an eye on Stallions if they could hear them crossing through the grass. Elite Esports playing on the back end. Altars, though, for all the teams left as the engagement starts from Stallions. Skittle tries to do some of the damage, gets the next knock. It's a trade-off, though, from the back end, and they clear the bridge side, but their backs are open, and here comes Elite Esports trying to capitalize.
Oh, they're going to capitalize, all right. Surely they've got the damage here because they've got the jump on them as well. And it's just firing through the gas, but eventually the bullets will rain true. And Elite are able to take down Sacred. But all the meanwhile, Unreal Nightmare are looking at this one from distance and looking to try and close this gap and get into a position. And Elite are aware of this. That's why they're not overcommitting onto Stallions. They know if they jump too hard, take too much damage, they will definitely lose out to Unreal Nightmare. So they're trying to play this one correctly, trying to play for the win. They don't just want to give this one up and play for second.
And Unreal noticed that Stallions actually were able to get all the way down, and Unreal Nightmare do not want Sacred to get a reset. They find Sacred, but guess who's still alive? Skittle from Stallions, trying to keep it alive for Stallions here, while Elite Esports are their umbrella, overlooking Unreal Nightmare. Then you have to consider the Cossack Barrels. They know they're still down there. He gets the res, but Sacred cannot catch a break.
Yeah, Elite really want to try and finish this team off below them, but every time they peep over that ledge, they get absolutely destroyed by Unreal Nightmare, as Skittles is just going to utilize barrels and shields to try and stay alive and see if they can maybe scrap a second here. But it's not going to be easy to even get second place at this point, because both these teams are so far apart and Stallions essentially stuck between them. The focus is definitely going to be eliminate that solo and then focus on the 3v3 that's going to happen after the fact. But 12 seconds until zone moves. Skittle is certainly being a thorn in the side to both these teams right now.
And unfortunately, you know, when you have some changes going in with the Cossack, it's not like you could survive through the enemy Cossack gas, right? Even though we get to feel right at home with Skittles being on the Cossack himself, Unreal Nightmare keeping an eye on him, still seeing him as a threat. But if they overextend, Elite Esports are just going to hail damage from above. Huntsman doesn't want to get overzealous, even when he's got the car in his hands, but he doesn't have the infinite ammo that we have from the side of Stallions.
How is Skittles still alive? Somebody kill this man! Don't let him live so comfortably and easily. He's on a madness to try and stay alive. Who knows? Maybe he can pull off some crazy victory at this point, because EMP comes through and Elite say, you know what? Screw it. Let's push Unreal.
Let's go and capitalize, get the KP that we need off the EMP, but they lose out on Dark. They have to keep their eye still on Skittle, but with Unreal Nightmare staying alive, Stallions, Skittle, don't forget, he's trying to creep up from behind him. One member of Unreal Nightmare is keeping their eyes, and they did lose out on one. Davis was very low because of the Cossack gas, and they don't have their own Cossack up. Rails now takes it away with Skittles trying to go in, but Unreal Nightmare, they hold their ground, they held their position, and they win game number 1.
Skittle Cakes, the cockroach of the lobby, and manages to pull out a second place as well for Stallions. And in reality, it's probably going to be a first place for them, including the amount of KP they were able to get on top. But Unreal able to take the victory in the end. It was just both teams, I think, getting a little bit frustrated with the fact they couldn't take that third team out of the equation. So in the end, they just had to take a straight 3v3. But it's Unreal Nightmare who come out on top.
With 4 KP to their name, but if anything, the statement there was Stallions, Dan. We saw what they were able to do. It was double-digit KP, and that's a great opening for your first game. 16 KP in total for Stallions, and it's great because, again, when we get to see the Cossack actually come out, of course, with there being way more cryptos in the lobby, it's about guiding your Pokemon to the target, and Stallions were guiding their way, literally mowing down the whole lobby.
Oh, they were. I mean, Sacred, we saw him every single time we were on their screen, just absolutely destroying anyone in their wake. The difficulty is sometimes when you are in a game like that, you just continue to push, you continue to be aggressive, and in the end, you get third party. Someone's going to come along, but look at the amount of points they were able to put on the board. As I said, they are essentially the game winners with 25 points. Even though Unreal Nightmare did win the game, the points total goes to Stallions. Elite Esports also putting 13 on the board, which is fantastic for them. A slow start for a few other teams. Liquid, of course, one of the big heavy hitters, still on 0. NIP did put 4 points on the board, but that's still a lot lower. And then Falcons only with the 2 as well. But at the moment, it's all about Stallions, and I'm sure they can have a lot of confidence going into game 2 here, Rain.
I'm sure they will. That was one heck of an end game. Skittle Cakes had a chance to pull what was only reminiscent of me of that old school Hardeki clip where he survived in that open field on World's Edge and somehow took the win when it became like a 1v2v1. But couldn't really capitalize. I think was happy with the second place. Overall, what a great game to start, and not the teams that we had highlighted at the top of the show jumping in there. NIP, Falcons both go out early, but you saw some teams actually have a decent play there, and Unreal Nightmare and obviously Stallions, one of them. Another team, Free Thinkers. This was actually the highest position they have placed in the entire Pro League split. Remember, guys, over the last 2 days, they took a 17th place and then they took a 13th place. So hopefully, Vicky, that's trending upwards for them starting today well with the 4th place and 6 kills and 11 points.
And that's with making the rotation from Oasis, right? We saw how uneasy that was. You do have a Trident over there that you could capitalize off of, and we saw a lot of these teams congregating quickly on that southern side towards Bonsai, but more so out in the opening on the outskirts of Terminal.
Absolutely. Free Thinkers, a team that currently, if they keep this up, will be a team we talk a lot about over the course of this day, but there are many more games to be played. Unreal Nightmare, Stallions, and Free Thinkers out in top here. And of course, we did see a little bit of a back and forth in terms of, I think, really just the decision on when do we push and when we don't. Dan, do you feel that Unreal Nightmare got a little lucky with that win?
I mean, luck is always going to play a little bit of a part of it. I think that they definitely benefited from Skittlecakes doing what Skittlecakes was doing. I think if it was a straight 3v3, it might have been a different situation, but you can only play what's in front of you. And so if they didn't want Skittlecakes to be part of that equation, they should have removed him from that equation. You know, like, it's one of those situations where both teams were trying as they might, but no one really wanted to commit to it to give an advantage to the other squad. Very difficult when you're in scenarios like that, but it made for an entertaining endgame at the very least.
Yeah, it really did. And to me, you know, you go back and it's kind of hindsight's 2020. Should they have rushed Skittlecakes? They get the win either way, but clearly to me, Skittlecakes had the opportunity to play spoiler to what eventually ended up being their win and put it into a third place, even though they had him dead to rights and were just maybe a little bit too cautious for my liking to not push him and get rid of him in the corner. But hey, at the end of the day, nobody wants to push a Caustic, right, Vicky?
I definitely won't, especially in a situation like that. What the heck? There's a team right above me. I'm not going to be peeking that if I know that I have advantage in the zone. And I, you know, just trying to reel in your teammates is a skill in its own. We've all been there. We've all been hungry to try to find that one solo. But if there's a lesson that I've learned within Apex, guys, it's never chase a solo.
Never chase. I thought you were going to say we've all been hungry, and I was like, wow, she's going really wide, really relatable with that comment. We have all been hungry as human beings. I mean, think about that, and let's connect there for a moment. I do want to ask too, how hot is it in your room? Did you get a solution? Or are you still in trouble here?
All right, the thermostat is dead, sadly. So I'm going to have to wait till the end of the day. I got a new one, though, during the break, guys, after we transitioned out of EMEA. So it's literally just staring at me. But, you know, when we get to see these teams zoom by on a Trident, it gives me some respite to know that they have the nice Olympus breeze in their hair.
You get a virtual breeze. Virtual breeze. All right. Well, let's hope many Tridents come up on the screen to give Vicky a little bit of respite from the heat there as you guys jump back in for Game 2 on Olympus.
Thank you so much, Rain Day. Game number 2, we already saw every single team, minus like one, that were running the crypto for game number 1, which now that crypto is banned, Dan, will enable the Caustics even more. Even the Gibbies, if we do see some more transitions into the baby comp. Although we didn't see a single Valkyrie, that may be utilized more so on Storm Point. But diving into the action, that first circle going all the way down to Bonsai, after we just saw Unreal Nightmare take the dub, they really only had to make that rotate from Terminal.
Kind of crazy that Men of Culture were the team that got first pick on this map. In theory, as we've already spoken about, everyone else was kind of looking over towards Storm Point, but Falcons getting Rift, I think, is a benefit too. Obviously, it was a southern circle, so it was a very difficult one for them. If we see something a little bit further north or even east, they'll be in a better position. But they do have that Trident to move. Sadly, they just got stuck between a rock and a hard place. I think the real difficulty was they tried to take that fight and then had to portal back, and then they were never really recovering from that position. But things are going to start to heat up even more than Vicky's office right now without any AC. I do worry about you, Vicky. I hope you have like a fan or something that is going to keep you at least a little bit cool. Just let me know if you ever need me to cover, you know, if you need to go for a little bit break outside. Oh no, wait, it's worse outside. Never mind. You're stuck here with me.
Listen, I'm getting closer to being a reptilian. That's what happens when you're in Florida and you just don't really have an AC unit to work off of. But that also highlights the heat of the action that we got going for us, because it's been a banger of a match that we've already seen from Stallions. I want to see them do it again. Also, you know, when we take a highlight of the map rotation that we have for today, very similarly, that was match day number 2 where NIP had popped off. And they're trying to follow suit, right? I believe it was like game number 1, match day 2, where NIP had got in second place in that first game. Then they got 4th. So it's kind of like that back-to-back before they were able to pop off on Storm Point. And I feel like that's where a lot of these teams feel way more at home, is on Storm Point. So if you want to get that lead going, you got to follow in suit with what Stallions is doing.
Oh yeah, it feels like everyone is banking on Storm Point, but not everyone can find success on Storm Point. That's why I was, impressed that Men of Culture decided to take that risk and say, look, yeah, you know what, let's prioritize Olympus here. Let's see if we can pick up points. At the moment, only 4, but it is only match 1. There is definitely a nice amount of time to try and catch up here going into the second, but you mentioned it, we didn't have much Valkyrie in the first. It doesn't look like we're going to have much going into the second. There are definitely more. There are a few that are starting to turn up, a few baby comps starting to be introduced now that Crypto is out of the equation, but still a abundance of Alter, which was to be expected here.
Man, Alter, the reset potential and the Band-Aid to trying to go in for a push just to see a 3P or 4P and getting a free reset. I mean, that's why we've seen the nerfs coming out for Alter, and it was so necessary. But I want to hear some more when it comes to some of these compositions and some of our players. I want to hear some thoughts from Orange, because we did get to talk to Orange a little bit.
We're more of like a push team. We played the same way in Tier 2, so we're trying to like adapt it to Pro League. We need to like change our playstyle a little bit, but still kind of keep like the kills high and stuff. Felt pretty good. I feel like, I don't know, some of those car pushes, I feel like we were like overcommitting a lot sometimes, but it was still fun to do.
I like it, talking about how they want to try to play and, even acknowledging where they made some mistakes before making this rotation, Dan. Being able to hear more thoughts of our players has always been very enjoyable for me, and we're taking another trip, though, this time all the way to the west coast of Olympus.
To the west coast, to my neck of the woods. Liquid, you're going to be there. NIP, Oblivion, plenty of teams that are going to be in a good spot. Just go back to that point as well from Orange. I think there is that leap from Tier 2 to Tier 1. From playing in challenges to getting into Pro League, suddenly your aggressive playstyle of just trying to bully your way through everyone doesn't necessarily work. Now, speaking of trying to bully your way through, it is Stallions yet again in our kill feed, and the reigning world champions going up against them. Monsoon has already gone down.
In a lot of trouble, Stallions have not stopped. Skittle gets another one. Fun going down. Sacred gets the beam on the R9. And you already know with the way that Sacred's playing, having a lot of that confidence. Oblivion, they are eliminated, but it was the way that they try to take that fight. These Alter TPs, Dan, have just been so crucial in getting into way better positions. It's unfortunate as we say goodbye to Oblivion as our first team in match number 2.
And we will be saying goodbye to Alter going into match 3 as well, by the way.
Yeah.
If I wasn't leading to it enough, 17 Alters in the lobby, so definitely won't have one. The Void Passage can be very difficult to try and play against and with. There's definitely some teams who are better at it and playing around it, whereas some teams struggle a little bit, I feel, to keep up. That's probably why we have 3 teams not playing Alter and looking to try and play something that will stay consistent throughout the matches here. We've got 12 Mad Maggies in the lobby, 10 Watsons, 7 Newcastles. So as I said, we've got a few teams that are starting to get closer towards that baby comp with 3 Valkyries as well, in celebration of her 5-year anniversary being introduced to the game.
It's perfect. It's almost like the script runs itself. And I like how you bring that up about the Alter too, because even with the portal plays, if you end up crouching and jumping at the same time, you can get some cheeky shots in and continue on the pressure when it comes to more of these close range fights and if you're playing around a wall. Something that we have seen before, HBM on the sticks. Envy fully healed, looking to see if they can get a reset and get their third, and Legacy gonna be able to get their third back in, and actually it's gonna look at Perfection who was trying to get back in, but thankfully they had the Alter TP. I was looking at Yanya, who's got the purple shield, and looking behind them, but King of the Hill here for them as they're trying to gatekeep more teams that are trying to make their rotate from Terminal.
King of the castle, King of the castle. Real question is anyone actually going to try and take them off it? I think for now they should be more than happy and they'll be safe as you like as they get back into their trident and begin their journey yet again. Legacy, a team that I'm very excited for how they progress as well. Similarly to what we were mentioning earlier in EMEA, there's a lot of teams who had their 2 but just couldn't quite find their 3rd. Well, now maybe Legacy have found that right fit to really progress as a roster and show us what they're made of, because they always seem to be there or thereabouts when we get into those final moments of Pro League at the top of the leaderboards. Now, S2 have the bubble on their trident. They're also making their journey through the southern side here, but of course they're all on whites at the moment, so they really need to get some sort of Evo Harvester to work with.
Yeah, there's not going to be much to see here for S2 since they've had a pretty rough game. Their priority is just going to be side questing, getting maybe a ring console, get the Evo shield, survey beacon up ahead. They did see another team as well zoom past them. It's going to be Zest Fest, who will eventually get the survey beacon that we just saw Legacy scan over by Solar Ray. So it's inevitable for them to see S2 still stuck in that zone. It'd be even worse when they get called out for having those white Evo shields. Team Falcons also on their rotate from Turbine, well, they'll also get information not only off the ring console, they got the survey beacon to their back, and they're making sure that nobody is going to take their time to rotate from behind them because free thinkers are still on the north side of Fight Night.
I like how aware Falcons are, though. You know, they're checking every single door. They know that someone could be following in their footsteps, so they're certainly preparing themselves, but they don't know no one's here. They're absolutely fine. They have so much time at the moment. I will say Thuggets are starting to get a little bit closer, as I just mentioned that, because they have a trident of their own, but the real question is whether they'll actually go for the turbine rotation. I imagine they would probably stick around Hammond and then hit the western side, the eastern side of Terminal. As we check on in again with Stallions, our lobby leaders at the moment, they seem to have found a place to call home for now, all the way on this western side. So they've set themselves up very well for this endgame already, Vicky. So an impressive rotation from them.
And the fact that they were able to not only frag out in game number 1, now kind of prio the zone while still being able to pick up 2 KP without overextending. You mentioned Falcons before. Orange gets bopped in the head by the Wrecking Ball. Negative in trouble, and the moment he takes that portal, he gets deleted. Gary also putting in some peppering, though, gets the crack, finds Walty. They're literally just going one by one in front of Gary for free. Hal takes a portal back, and this goes together with some of that portal play that we were mentioning, Dan. They try to take it forward, and then he's literally playing ring around the Rosie. In the alley-oop, now you see me, now you don't. Breaking some ankles is gonna be Gary, and he's zooming past him. He actually manages to get away from Falcons. Are you kidding me?
Mandem just like hijacked them. What just happened? How did you get away with that? That was the ultimate escape we've ever seen, the greatest escape of this match so far. But Falcons will still win out in terms of that engagement and get back up to a 3, as free thinkers will have to go back and create some banners before they can get back into this game. It'll be a late arrival for them, but at least they can still play on. So at the moment, we are still only seeing Oblivion as the team that has exited thus far. Still 19 squads remaining. I mentioned it last game. America's just have this way of playing where if there's any space to take, they will take it. Don't need to be running into too many gunfights, and people really want to get to those final zones and give them the best chance of trying to win things here.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how so many of these teams should just congregate together and share some more of this space. Legacy taking to the skies, actually, and you had mentioned there's only some Valkyrie here in this lobby, so hopefully the teams that are flying by will be able to have that information and not Hail Mary their way into a spot that is free. And Men of Culture also playing around the Alter TP, with Thuggets and S2 being the 2 teams taking their time to rotate. We saw what happened to S2, and now we see what happens to Legacy. Unfortunate for them, but it was going to be Future who finds a lot of these knocks, both onto Hawadis and Yanya.
I think that was my fault. I think that I was picking up Legacy earlier, so they got caught out. As Unreal Nightmare, our second place team at the moment. Let's jump into and listen to him as they push here.
Closing doors, on our back. Closing our back.
I don't
You want the other side? TP up, so just show their TP.
You want the other side?
Like, huh?
Oh wait, come on.
I have TP. I have a TP.
I want to go frost.
Alright, you ready? I can Q. Right?
Yeah, Q through once.
I don't have another one, so.
I want to be able to like play out on the corner. These guys are behind.
Get on the back, get on the back. Kind of weak.
What the fuck is that?
If I need to, I think I could Q us underneath. These guys might angle.
This team is just holding out their back.
That's kind of fucked.
We need to go to the other building and place a gen, Hunt. You need to go place a gen in the other building.
I can put a Q for you. Oh.
I'm not scanning the team that was behind us. I think this.
I think that's them in the car.
This is them. Let's see.
The comms until he gets quiet after getting shot in the back, by the way, by an alternator. That's totally me here when it comes to managing some information for the rest of my team. But they actually back away, and Vlad's going to be able to go onto the other side here, while currently Unreal Nightmare are just figuring out how they want to rotate here, because Panic, Zero, and Sykes are amongst them, and they are literally going to try to contest in through this choke.
So did you just call yourself out for being one of those players who doesn't provide information, just asks questions?
No. Always providing the information, and then when I feel pressure and no one's looking at wherever those shots are coming, I get real quiet.
Yeah, sounds about right. I mean, I think I'm the same, to be honest. As now we check in with Falcons. They are one of the few teams on this northern side. The only other team that are up there with them is the remainder of Free Thinkers after their res. And sadly, I think when Free Thinkers do rejoin this circle, they are going to be greeted by Team Falcons. The real question is, are Falcons aware of their existence? And the answer maybe is yes, because they've been able to get the initial knock. As I say that, though, they've also been able to trade one out. So you need to help Waltzy here, who's in a 1v2 at the moment, but it doesn't matter. He gets the job done alongside Guild, and Free Thinkers will be eliminated. Down to now 17 squads. No one to pick up on the damage that had been done. So Falcons can reset and analyze how they want to get into this final zone.
Waltzy also schmoving on them, too, coming right out of the portal just to get that finishing blow onto that last player. S2 now, after being able to take their journey all around Olympus, tried it or not, a team that is going to be able to take to the skies on the Valkyrie and have that UAV through the walls, a scan to let them know where they want to go. You can hear the pings, and you can see where they want to find themselves because it's pulling towards that northern side of the states, and finding some spots here will be crucial. They see all the teams that are inside of these buildings, but eventually they're going to have to fight for it. They did see this team caught off guard to the right, and since Zach Mazer is on the Gibby, they start engaging here. The Gibby, and he pops the bat right in front of their face while trying to play on the edge of the dome.
Yeah, they spotted there was only one player in this building. Again, that's the advantage of having that perk from Valkyrie, so you can see through those walls as you're coming down. It was the single player on Elite, but it might not matter, because Zach Mazer has gone down again, but the Newcastle being put to work here with another res, but here comes nade after nade. Dark might want to back out of this one. He's going to have to open the Nexus to escape, but Zach Mazer was eliminated, so job done for Elite. They kind of hold their position, and they are griefing at the moment.
Imagine if this Newcastle wall was behind them, but why would they do that, right? Because they weren't expecting this team to try to push them from the back, and then they get kidnapped? Are you kidding me? The Ultra Portals are griefing them. Lord of the Rings, unfortunately, goes down, but Elite Esports, they want to send on this. It's a team that did pretty decent here in the first game. Already have 1 KP after cleaning up Zach. It's up to Dig, though, to play off the plant, and off in a different corner, it gets taken from them. That's at the hands of Legatron as S2 are eliminated.
That was KP gifted from the skies for Elite Esports. Those are the ones that you like to get given, but they did well to not get jumped on and surprised by the team that was landing. Even though it was a solo within that building, the other two very much had eyes on to help. Zone is going to slightly shift away from Estates, or at least from the center of Estates, and we are going to see it move up to that northwest side where HUSS are. And actually, this is very good for Team Falcons as well, Vicky, because they were the only team up the north. Thuggets have now made their way round on the western side and might try and consider approaching Falcons' position, but you can see how they've split. One player kind of holding them out at the moment, as Unreal Nightmare in a little bit of trouble.
Dealing with their own nightmares right now. They get kidnapped! Another one! The back-to-back kind call 911, man, because this has been unreal, literally. 16 squads left as Lopes gets the next beam, gets the next follow-up. They get the crack, they get the finishing blow, and Unreal Nightmare are unfortunately eliminated. Your game 1 winners, but the action has not stopped, Dan. In the distance, Falcons, they do hear this fight happening here. It's a lot of these teams just trying to find their own space over on the northern side of the states.
That's how quickly things can turn around in ALGS. You can be a winner, and then the next match you eliminated in the bottom 5. Ruthless here in Americas as Stallions continue to be ruthless themselves as they progress on this southwestern side. It's Team Liquid on the other side of this fight at the moment. Meniculture have left them. NIP seem to have left it as well. This should be an isolated fight as they get that first knock onto 0, but it might just generate the attention of NIP. They are looking back. Meniculture coming back as well now, Vicky.
I love seeing Albert Lily at their form here, too. When you see Albert Lily play with confidence, he is hungry. Blood in the waters before backing away. And Kuriv has that Kraber in hand, the infinite ammo to add. And before diving in, finding Panic, he doesn't want to overextend. They see the portal play from another team. And without overextending, if Kuriv knew how low that player was, Dan, that would have been crazy. He could have just turned the corner, and that could have been it. As Team Liquid do get eliminated, and Legatron steals another one.
NIP just thinking bigger picture, though. They saw the zone was coming in, they saw the amount of teams, and they said, look, we have to move and groove to get into this western side of the zone. Stallions trying to get shots onto Meniculture as they move away, and somehow, some way, Stallions have stayed healthy off the back of all that. Meniculture will be eliminated, though, and it means that Stallions go south, NIP go north, and both of them will now end up on the western side of the zone, but they both should be comfortably alive here and will be able to mentally reset.
Sacred's insane. Like, getting the riot drone, knowing exactly where Dynamic is. He gets that knock, but is it going to be worth it? Their backs are in a tough spot to be in, having to play around Skittles' knockdown shield, trying to get the reset. Now they know that there's that team in front of them, another team right behind them. NIP are trying to extend though, having to be careful with the wrecking ball, but still staying alive for now and getting the res onto Skittle.
Yeah, somehow they get back up to a full 3. HBM, Zest first both go down. Falcons are in the kill feed, getting some of those kills on their side. Flat also eliminated. That was the team that Stallions were fighting originally, and actually Stallions pushed up onto them. They said, screw it, you're not going to grief us, let's just take this fight outright. And now they reward themselves with positioning on this southwest side as NIP continue to push in on the northwest, and now they'll actually be in one of the prime positions on the west side of this zone as they continue to grief and press Thuggets. And it looks like Thuggets are going to try and escape, but they are going to struggle.
While NIP are hugging the fence line too, and Stallions pushes in to close in the gap, this is going to be a scary fight. Falcons are not trying to overextend, but they do hear this fight happening. They're looking at Stallions, they're dancing around these portals. They've lost out on Albert lately. 1-2, Sacred is giving them a little dance, baiting them through the Watson fence too. They're feeling the pressure with the zone about to close in, as well as the riot drill.
Was that his own riot drill hurt him, or was it someone else's? I don't know. It's hard to keep up at this point. But Sacred on a madness, or at least he was, until he got taken out as other teams started to get involved. Kurev last alive, but has that Kraber that you were mentioning, but I don't think it's going to help him as a full 3-man pushes. NIP go down. 7 squads now remain. It's Purple Slushee who pick up the pieces.
At the top of the food chain here, dive in on their victim, Purple Slushee. Clean that up, and they move forward, looking at Thuggets, who are trying to, that's a solo, trying to go forward, and unfortunately, for that solo, getting called out. How's going to be able to clean that up? 6 squads now left, and Team Falcons in prime time, uncontested on the northern side of the zone.
And remember, we still haven't seen Team Falcons win a single match so far. This could be the one, potentially, as they have so much coverage of this northern side, and they are looking to try and create even more space here. Hal has to be careful, notices that he was a little bit vulnerable, and does back off. But Falcons more than happy to try and capitalize and take this fight, which will they do so, because Purple Slushee were only really the threat on this northern side.
But while 2 of the members of Falcons are pushing up ahead, Elite Esports are trying to sneak behind them. Listen to this communication as Falcons now actually harass Elite Esports enough to force them to back off into the Alter TP. Another one.
Nice shots again, though. And Falcons, that's another one that bites the dust, and they continue to press on. They continue to take advantage because they don't want to allow there to be a reset. And actually what they're doing very well is 2 are forcing, being aggressive, getting involved. And then there's just 1 player who's left on the other side who's anchoring at the moment to keep that space, to keep this northern side of the circle. But now they move in. 3 squads now remain. Elite Esports and HUSS, the other 2 teams.
HUSS get eliminated, and Guild is going crazy. Following up with Hal getting another knock. It's almost like both of these players are fighting to be the kill leaders in this lobby. Guild follows up. Everybody's stuck inside the corner, and there's nowhere to run. You go through the Watson fence, and Falcons are your champions. What a play, taking their first win of the season.
First win of the season, and it's about darn time. That's the expectations that you put on yourselves when you are considered one of the best teams in the world. And that is insane. I think it is actually their first win since Champs Matchpoint Finals, because technically, yeah, we go into Split 1 Pro League and they haven't won yet. So are we now seeing them back at their very best? Team Falcons certainly was a very well played game right from the very beginning, how they wanted to maneuver their way around that northern side of the map, also bully teams away from them so they could create space here, Vic.
Literally been, what, 92 days I'm getting word here from production since they have been able to secure a dub. Do you know what that is? I mean, this is a team, an IGL, Dan, that we highlight because of the history that this player has been able to provide into the competitive Apex scene. And now we see the win come through, and it was him and Guild that were going side by side with some assists from Waltzy, as well as Waltzy kind of holding back, giving him the information in case another team wanted to push to their own back.
And it's just a taste of what they're capable of, right? They didn't just scrape a win. They dominated with a 17-kill game, putting 29 points on the board. And that is the Falcons that we have known to love and expect in the ALGS. Elite Esports with 15 points in second place. I think they'll be delighted with that, especially after their original hold. Remember when the Valk team started to come in, they had to really hold their ground, and boy did they. HUSS also putting 10 points. Full 11 with a 16-point game, 12 kill points on the board. Looks like they finally finally woken up as well after their disappointing performance last time around. But Falcons jumped themselves up 10 positions into second places. Now they are just on the heels of Stallions.
Gets a lot easier when the zone pulled over to that western side. When they have to come out of Rift, they had that Trident and they prioed getting the information in the middle of Olympus here with the series results though, and even fragging out the way that Falcons did with 17 KP. They are still behind Stallions, who are just 2 points ahead of them.
Yeah, Stallions still had a good game. Like, they were still pressing and they still looked confident. It's just one of those where the zone comes in and kind of ruins everything for you as well. But that was a fun one. I enjoyed that. But of course, if you enjoy watching ALGS, you can enjoy it even more watching the multi-view. Visit algs.ea.com to set yours up. Doesn't matter which team you want to watch, who you want to listen to. You can do it your own way, essentially, and you will have a fantastic time. It is one of the best additions that we have this split. Vicky, you know what? I might just have to go back and draw a Nessie myself.
I love that here. You get to be creative, also draw out the way that a lot of these teams have gone about their pathing, but it's great information to know to be a better player yourself. All right, Dan. That is 2 games in the dust. We have 1 more game to go on Olympus, and that's coming to you soon on the other side of this break.
Red Bull is giving wings to the ALGS.
I just want to see that fucking fight versus Falcons and
Wicked.
Waste my time. Oh, was that a scrims moment? No, it wasn't. Yo, what up, Asterix? How you doing today, buddy? Good to see you, man. Appreciate you. You're swinging cock. Hey, this is the shit we want to see, bro. This is bad. This is big time. Yo, Chalupa, Batman, thanks to the Prime. Well, the Nation Ice Week. This is like a really big point, though, man, for Falcons. Is again, dude, they're in the top 12 right now. One good week here will actually help so fucking much moving forward. It's just going to be a confidence booster to have like their stats just boosted, bro, moving into the rest of the weeks. You just need this. And that right there is beautiful because it's game 2. We could potentially end Olympus on a high note. Even if we don't have a good game 3 on Olympus, we completely forget about this half and you move on in. Same thing with Stallions so far. Getting your 3 games on Olympus to be pretty fucking decent and not just terrible is such a big vibe booster because you're already positive about your Olympus games, which is usually 99% of the lobby is not. Even if all good teams are doing good on Olympus, they're still not happy about it. And then if you literally go to Storm Point, you're already excited to go play Storm Point. So it's like, bro, we have a positive mindset of our Olympus, and then we're even more positive because we're like, oh my God, thank fuck, we're on Storm Point. This is fantastic. And I also said this today earlier, and I hate that I'm admitting this. Bro, I fucking hate Olympus. I think Olympus is literally awful. Like, no joke. I think it's absolutely terrible. But I'm starting to like the Olympus, I said this earlier, Olympus dynamic with another good map. And I'm falling in love with it. I don't like that I like it. I don't like the map, but I'm liking the dynamic, dude. It's insane. Like, we're having just absolute chaos for 3 games, and then 4, 5, and 6 is just way more placement. And the dynamic and the contrast between both the maps has been fun to watch across all regions. Olympus is garbage, but the contrast between 2 maps, one good one and one way more chaotic, is kind of fun. And I hate that. They need to fucking take this map out, bro, so I don't like it even more. Dude, here we go. Game 3, last one on Olympus. See, I don't even like watching Olympus. I just like the chaoticness. That's all I like. But having like 4, 5, and 6 be more kind of shy and a little bit more, I don't know. I guess it's the wild card, bro. It's Charlie. Like, Olympus feels like a wild card. You never know what you're going to get. On Storm Point, you usually do. But on Olympus, you never know. So it's kind of fun walking on into a set, not knowing what we're about to expect, or not knowing what to expect for 3 games. And then Storm Point, we got that exact down pat. It's pretty sick, dude. I like it a lot, actually. But fuck this map. Take it out of ALGS. Give me World's Edge back. No, fuck it, bro. Let's put in Kings Canyon. Give me the Kings Canyon. Why not?
I'm putting further emphasis on if you hear his voice, you need to shut the fuck up. For both of you, you need to shut up and listen to his voice.
Hell yeah, love that out of knock.
For like almost 99%.
Nah, bring back Kings Canyon, dude. Fuck it. Don't update anything. And give me original Kings Canyon. Dude, how broken do you think Valk and Alter would be on Kings Canyon? One Valk ulti would get you from one end of the map to the other. You'd go from fucking slums to swamps. And then 2 Alter Qs would get you through 6 POIs. Holy shit. We should actually limit test that. That would be insane. How much space you'd be able to maneuver with all the new legends in Apex. And then you know what, bro? Fuck it. Put zip rails on it and put tridents and grav cannons. Fuck it, bro. Do all that shit. Do all that shit. All right, here we
much better. And just we gotta keep reminding Mark. It's just it's superior. Okay. One of the things.
How do we feel about gas set?
Gas set. Wow. That's pretty interesting. I mean, I feel like it could blend in. Feel like a gas set, maybe like something somebody would wear. Is that a clothing item? I don't know.
Oh yeah, like a cassette.
Yeah, a cassette. Is it a?
There we go.
Yeah, there it is.
Now we're thinking outside the box.
Beautiful cassette they've got on over there. You know, we're inventing things. You guys let us know. What's your favorite ALGS commentary duo couple name? We want to know in chat. Let me know. Is it Rainskin? Is it Gas Set? We're throwing some things out there. Is it, where's the Genome Vicky? I was trying to do that off the top, but we'll have to wait for that. You guys let us know here as well. Obviously, Olympus has been fun. We've been jumping into that, Dan. And again, we're going to kick off, you know, this match with a little bit of looting and HUSS, as Kimchi's been a pretty funny guy to have a chance to chat with.
There's only one right now, and it's gonna be Free Thinkers on Oasis, because they kind of, I mean, like their name suggests, they are free thinkers. They kind of do their own thing. I mean, we've seen they just kind of chase people down in a trident. As long as we're not a team that they can do that to, we've been fine.
Wow, I was just saying that Kimchi's funny to talk to. Apparently, we had talked to him. I mean, it was just perfect correlation. Great job.
You didn't even know that it was coming. I mean, production on point. They're able to use any toss they need.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, I thought you just gave the perfect handoff. I was like, yeah, excellent, Rain Day. That is perfect. Yeah, let's get some Rain Skin on the go here. But yeah, great to speak to Kimchi. What an incredible human being he is. One of my favorite moments from Champs was when Monsoon won, and one of the first people that Monsoon got to see when he was running around the stadium was Kimchi, a previous teammate, and they were able to embrace and just have that moment. And I'm sure that Kimchi would have loved to have been a part of that, but of course he was a part of the whole story of Monsoon. But now on a different team, of course, on his own team, and we'll see what they can do here today, as we've got some engagements happening at the moment. Legacy have lost Yanya, and it looked like it might be an let's get out of here situation and leave Yanya behind, and we'll get him back later.
I just had a chance to hear a little bit about Legacy, and we have some good stuff coming up on Kurev, but mentioned just, you know, Legacy, some good friends here on this squad, really finding a good vibe together, and obviously they're going to lose Yanya, but Yanya and Jaguares been playing together for so long. Gyozi apparently fitting right in. They're going to use that trident to get away very quickly. Olympus and Stormpoint, it's Trident Day in the ALGS. Both maps that have them, both being played today, so going to be a big part of the matchups and obviously the in-fight encounters that you see as we pass over to Unreal Nightmare, sitting with 17 points in 6th place.
How about this comp as well? Wraith, Seer, and Watson. A little bit different, a little bit of flavor to it, but as we've already seen today, sometimes the flavorful comps that are a little bit off meta have found success. Certainly if you can find yourself in certain positions where you can take advantage of their kits. Speaking of taking advantage of kits, the Riot Drill was doing a little bit of damage on that side. It looks like they've been able to avoid it, though. The Thuggets on the receiving end of said damage at the moment as they take Grow Towers.
Yeah, and I mean, I do like it. Wraith just gives you mobility on top of what you're hoping for with a Wraith, a Seer, and maybe a Maggie and a Catalyst with what we've seen it paired with. Wraith just giving you that little bit of extra, I'm in a building, now I need to go to another building. Whereas Catalyst, great in open space, but Olympus has so many buildings that playing that is obviously going to give you probably at least a chance to hold it down with a Watson and try to make a rotation. You may be late, there may not be any space to play, but that portal, and especially as it's upgraded now, is definitely going to guarantee you a shot to try to play in there in zone. But as you can already see, just buildings taken, defensive bombardments dropping down onto Monsoon and Blinkster, our champions in the ALGS, and Team Liquid trying to take that building with a Catalyst wall that they're using to move.
We briefly saw Falcons in a fantastic position on the east there as well. We'll go back to that in a minute. As Team Liquid having to kind of back away from this one. It looked like they were going to send it, but Zero took so much damage. It was a retreat option instead. Zero has gone down. They should be able to get him back up unless anyone overcommits to this engagement. Wait, where? Actually, I say that. Where is Zero? He's all the way downhill. Finally. Okay, they are able to get to him. I was a little bit concerned that maybe he was going to be left for dead. You can see Valkyrie missiles trying to just disrupt here, but they do get Zero back up on his feet, and at least they'll have the chance to reset and reassess this one because they wanted to kind of push over towards Monsoon and the rest of the squad.
Yeah, I mean, not like a bad composition by any means. This is pretty much what we've seen be successful with Seer and Maggie. But Catalyst clearly has a few strengths and a few weaknesses, and when you cannot lock off every door to a building and there's still access to it via a hard light mesh that you can break or via something else, you know, she is not going to be able to sustain you inside the same way that a Watson team will. And so you can get sieged. Hemlocks, things like that, they can counter some of Catalyst's doors. So you got to be careful when running this. You got to be more aggressive than not, and there Liquid find themselves on the back foot. Stallions here too, not necessarily on the back foot, just trying to set things up and using a trident inside as well for some extra cover to stop that fence from being shot at, and also maybe just to play behind if they want to get an angle.
Very precise fence lineup there. I was also going to say about tridents, the development of tridents over the year. It was a ground vehicle originally. Nowadays feels more like a flying vehicle with how people have learned how to use it and whip their way around the map using grav cannons and using any sort of lifts that project you over and above everyone else. We've seen some crazy clips over the years throughout Apex history, and I'm sure we are going to see plenty more, especially with Olympus now in the rotation here of maps. Speaking of rotations, Legacy are going to be one of the last teams to move in, as are S2. Teams on the eastern side are going to be pretty happy because Zone is going to continue to pull that way. Source Gaming fairly central. NIP also find themselves center zone as well.
Yeah, NIP in a good position, albeit one that is coveted by a lot of other teams. It'd be interesting to see what the position is for Stallions when Men of Culture and Unreal Nightmare try to move in. We know Unreal has gotten into these final zones and been effective. I like Falcons spot the best because they get to keep their backside clean and looks completely forward when they're fighting. They don't have to worry about someone on that eastern side approaching. So that might come in handy here as we jump along with Flat. 20 of our squads jumped in to this match number 3 on Olympus to close it out, and we've still got 20 alive.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of keeping your backsides clean, bidets are pretty good for that as well.
I knew you were going to jump into that. I just had a feeling.
Just in case, you know, I just want to make sure everyone
some people would let that go
clean
just
as
let
well.
it be.
No, I don't think it, you know, I just think it's great that you brought that up. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
And I know you're big, we're not going to dive into this, but you've got some strong opinions on a clean backside. And again, I am talking about Falcons. I'm talking about Falcons' positioning.
Everyone. Those bidets are absolutely perfect. Now, Unreal Nightmare, remember about their first match, they won, but since then have fallen off the pedestal a little bit, down to just 1 now, but they do have at least those banners, and they should be able to get back up to a 3 on this southwest side towards Bonsai. But when they move in from the southwest, it's not looking pretty. You've got Purple Slushee S2 that are potentially going to hold you out there, but we'll have to see whether Unreal Nightmare can pull off a little bit of a madness. Definitely achievable. It's just going to be a long old treacherous journey from that position. But elsewhere, we still have this kind of standoff between Oblivion and Team Liquid that really just hasn't concluded. It's just been a poke-off.
Yeah, and this is not a great team to poke. I mean, Monsoon's the kind of guy that will whip around a longbow and headshot you twice when you're like, no way he hits that shot. This is a team that's pretty aggressive, but the problem and why I think it's lasting so long is they don't want to commit off of anything because they have a white shield on Monsoon. They cannot risk pushing in on that, and he is the Gibraltar. He needs to be willing to engage in these fights. So that's going to be a little bit trepidatious. Now, where do they go from here, though? They have to keep fighting and try to engage to get Monsoon up to a blue. We're not on his POV. If we go to it, we can see how much he has to hit until he gets blue, but we're going to transition over to where some actual fighting is going to happen. That'll stay back for a bit. Zach Mazer and the boys, Loader and Carter on S2. They've been playing great over this split. First couple of days were really excellent. Zach says this week he's really hit his stride with this team. Currently in 13th place, feeling a little bit of pressure.
Ooh, zone is going to shift further over west next. So actually
Big
where
shift.
Thuggets currently reside and not too far from where S2 currently sit as well, the zone is going to be pulling this way. So that is good news for those who are moving from the west side. Like if Oblivion and Liquid finally actually fight, the winner of that is going to be in a better spot as well. But it looks like full 11 are starting to join them. So there's a lot of poke battles happening at the moment. No one really wanting to commit to a fight, and understandably so. When there is this many teams left on the map rain day, if you start the fight, it can just be an absolute snowball out of control situation where suddenly everyone starts to fight as well, and you might not benefit from it, as Hal did portal in, but portals out very quickly.
Great catch by observers here. I was just going to shout out the action that was going to be taking place on the east as a result of this, and now we're right on it. Falcons trying to move in. Still 20 squads left, which is insane considering that we're in zone 3 and it's about to close. However, it does mean that what we're going to see now is probably 7 teams fall, maybe 8. It's going to be very tight in there. Unreal Nightmare, Flat, Stallions, Purple Slushies, Team Liquid, Oblivion, Full 11, Legacy. They've got to find a way into the zone. Falcons can kind of hold and do this dance here, which is okay. We can see this maybe going a little bit slower for them as they are on the slow side of the next zone. However, what we do need to look at is who is going to be making these aggressive moves. Teams like Legacy, who are way out, are going to have to push it and all in. Teams like Team Liquid are going to have to push in onto Fun FPS. Onto Monsoon and Blinkster, and just trying to hold here and see if they can get some kills. Monsoon still on a white shield, but the defensive bombardment delays maybe the inevitable here.
It's still not going to happen. The Dark Veil comes out. Liquid say, you know what? We're still not going to go for it.
Wow.
They do get the initial knock with the piercing spikes, actually. Syke's able to take down Monsoon. So perhaps they will have the last laugh after all. If it is not at least a committed fight, they do get 1 KP on the board, as now both teams have to try and survive and get into this zone. But we had 20 teams alive going into Zone 4. Zone 4 is about to be active, and we still have 20 teams alive. No one has dropped just yet. Panic takes down Fun. So Oblivion might be the first team to fall here. Our reigning champs from Worlds in Japan sadly have not been able to get going thus far today, and they will be the first team eliminated in 20th position.
Yeah, that is just the dominoes are about to fall. And what's crazy about it is that because of the way this zone is pulled and because of the size of the zone now, because of that pull, we are probably going to see that 7-8 team skirmish happen either midway through this round or at the start of next round. It's not going to be forced. It's going to be who decides that their fate is not going to be good if they wait. And that's the team that's going to push. One of them is Stallions, who are, again, fighting on the outskirts, trying to see if they can get a kill. They're in the mix. Sacred, the only one alive here. And he's trying to do some work with Maggie. He actually has a chance for this. And a Riot drill right now would be huge. I think it'd actually win this fight. I'm not sure if that's where I would have put it, but hey, it seems to work. Huntsman's forced to go to the left. Nice R99 spray. It's about even. Huntsman goes to the top. They trade places. Oh my goodness. Trying to find the kill. It's still a 1v1, and it's Sacred who cleans it up. Will keep his team alive, and Stallions will fight again.
Hey, it wasn't pretty, but he got the job done, and that's all that matters. As Stallions survive, and Sacred, I would have trusted him to win that one. Sure, he went a little bit unorthodox, but in the end, the Riot Drill did tag as the other player tried to dance away and eventually went into it. Team Liquid get eliminated in 17th, so now in Zone 4, we lose 4 squads, and we're down to 16 instead. But that's still a lot of teams left before this Zone 5 here, Rain Day, and we're going to see a lot more collisions happening as people start to move through. Falcons trying to force their way in from the east. They're going to have to run through HUSS. Stallions approaching from the southeast as well. Speaking of Stallions, let's jump into a listening as they make their move.
I think I have to go to the cubby.
Slam there.
Okay. I'm taking us somewhere that we can live for this zone.
Okay. Corner close left or close right.
We should step careful.
I almost knocked one bottom floor.
Take it. Take it. Area fight right.
Second. Behind
I cast him. Oh, fuck me. It's just so fucked. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Walk in with Sacred. You can maybe go left.
Oh, great timing.
Get that kill. Nice.
Playing puns.
The pit's looking.
Oh, I'm down. I'm fucked him in pen.
Val just jumped in front of you, Skittle. Just play small. Nice.
Get him.
Nice shot. Sorry, that TP was just fucked. I was trying to get to the corner underneath the ridge.
Was second floor in my
The Stallions go out. They tried, but oh man, without the space to play from, the valiant effort was just that effort and not a result. 38 points will stay at the top of the lobby so far, and it was certainly a great approach from Sacred and team. Nice guys will catch on with the action with them as they're fighting Zach Mazer. Zach stays alive, but that's going to be the end of S2 for now. Nice guys will take their spot.
SpongeBob, Nice Guys, pants okay, as Nice Guys are going to be alive. 10 squads now remain. It was quite a sad demise to Stallions in the end. You saw their death boxes just rotating into zone from the Grow Tower rotation. It was like something from a movie. Anyway, 10 squads do remain. You can see where the zone is going to be shifting. It is going to head towards this western side. So for the likes of Elite Esports, they have to move, and they are starting to move a little bit earlier rather than later when the zone will be to their back. Thuggets and Full 11 are going to be sharing that Grow Tower side together as well. Is this like the 18th Grow Tower finish we've had so far? It feels like it because we've seen so many of them so far in Pro League.
It's kind of nuts, but I like Grow Towers. I don't necessarily love them as an ending. I would, right? I love landing Grow Towers. They're a lot of fun. However, it is really spicy. I think that's what makes it interesting. However, it's such a unique way to approach a fight at the start. It's the tiered chaos, but it's also the questionable loot and trying to scavenge enough just for you, even when your teammates need a gun. But, of course, the rotation aspect as well. Kurev looks to rotate here with the Maggie Ball, throws the Watson interception pylon from Cole, and Kurev and Vayne will stabilize here on the top of one ridge and at the bottom of another as they see a team having to jump in and out of Grow Towers, and they know teams are sitting down below as well. Defensive bombardment, they're not worried about that. Actually, they are. Interception pylon somehow got killed. Cole, I don't think he realized it until very late. He may go down here.
Oh my goodness, just taking so much damage from the bombardment as well, and there might be more coming, especially with how Gibby works now, and you get to split it into 3 little ones, and NIP are being absolutely bombarded as they get taken down. Elite Esports also full 11 and the next to go, and we're down to 4 squads. Legacy are able to survive. Source Gaming just below them, HBM as well. The only team not in a Grow Tower is going to be Nice Guys, but Legacy getting involved in this engagement.
Yeah, in those Grow Towers, so valuable to have the defensive bombardment be thrown out of it. Now it's up to Jaguares. He's got a really good angle, though. You got to come up the stairs. He knows that's the moment. He knows that was the moment. He's bought a little bit of time, but it may not be enough. He had to get that kill. Now he's going to missile swarm. It's going to miss. It's another Valkyrie he's fighting against. Jaguares, come up big for us. If you're going to do it with the Hemlock, you got to do it now. He's got 1 HP and a dream. And yet that dream is still alive. Still sitting behind the knockdown. That's it. Legacy eliminated. It's a top 3 here. And you've got Cody, Sang, and Ambino on the Nice Guys holding a great spot from range.
Yeah, Nice Guys in just such a good position now because both HBM and the remainder of Source are going to have to dive out of this Grow Tower. And Nice Guys are just raining down terror from above. and it's just surely a matter of time. But maybe HBM can reposition and do something, but the Wrecking Ball now comes out to cause havoc.
Uh-oh, and they're going to push on the other side as well. Stang's got to back off. Oh, he's got an armor swap ready to go. Goes into the ultimate as well. Might just buy some time if he needs, but Nice Guy is certainly in control of this one. Has the Hemlock with a breach charge if he needs. And there's a Riot Drill. Forces him down. Valkyrie will take the lower side. Trying to get that pesky Valk up into the air. Cody's up for the task. Aim is right where he needs it to be. And Nice Guys. Well, they were the bad guys in this lobby. They take first place. Send the rest of the teams home.
They say Nice Guys finish last, but in this case, it's a first place finish for them, and a deserved one. Very patient in that end game. They were able to just put themselves in a spot where they said, look, we don't need to try and overextend here. They have to come to us. We can destroy them from Grow Towers, and they had done enough damage to all of these other squads that they find a victory here in match 3, our last one on Olympus for the day, and that sets them up very nicely indeed for Storm Point.
Certainly does. A great finish there onto Olympus, and actually from Olympus on to Storm Point here in just a moment. But that's given us some really interesting looks at North America. After the first two, we did see a little bit of a jump ahead from Falcons, and you know, this is now, I think, spreading out the points a little bit in this lobby, Dan. It's going to be more of a tactical shift up on Storm Point. We've got new draft picks. Obviously, HBM picking up 14 points. That was unexpected. Source Gaming grabbing 12. Legacy, they had a really big ultimate that kind of spoiled Ninjas in Pyjamas, who were trying to make a run there. Elite Esports, for the first time, they're out of the top 5, but not too far. 6th place. Something's going on with their play today. They are definitely feeling it. And S2, well, they did a lot to get near zone, just couldn't convert with the points.
I think it's going to be very important for those teams who did find points here on Olympus, because it can be quite sporadic with how easily you do find points as well, because it is just all over the place when it comes to these matches, especially in a Grow Tower finish. So difficult to try and find a spot once teams have absorbed all those levels of Grow Towers. Like, where on earth do you go? So Nice Guys did very well to find that wall to play behind, and now they push themselves all the way up to first in the overalls, or sorry, in the series overalls, not the overalls, if you know what I'm saying. 39 points. They're one ahead.
Here as well, Dan. I think this is just a showcase of that America in this lobby here have come to play. Some of the features in these games have been, you know, a little bit quiet over the course of the previous match day. Now everyone seems to be at their fullest potential. I don't know if that's going to keep things even or if we're going to see a breakout in Storm Point. Those 3 games coming up in the second half of our ALGS match day number 4 after this.
Is him. Also, game 3 ban was who? I didn't get to see, my bad. Game 3 ban is Watson. So it's the same exact thing, dude. Same thing in scrims. Game 3 ban, Watson has been the actual, you know, the kind of the consistency we've been seeing. So we'll go game 3, bro, for Watson as well for this match number 3, A versus B for the Americas. What a start to the set. What an absolute pleasure so far. I am vibing out. I haven't been this locked in a very long time. This is fucking insanity. Every week just keeps getting better and better. The closer we get to the end of Pro League Split 1 and the closer we get to finding out who the fucking the 13 teams to qualify in the Pro League are going to be, this shit just gets more electric. Bicep, brother. This is the prime of the Nation Ice Week. This is actually insanity. We'll lock on in here, though, man. Game number motherfucking 4, 5, and 6 on Storm Point. Once the ad breaks is done, we'll go over the POI draft. And we'll go from there. Don't forget, bro, on Storm Point, majority of teams did pick their POIs. So we'll see probably a lot of the top squads picking, you know, in the first pick somewhere on Storm Point. We'll go over that all here in just a little bit. Holy shit, what a time for real, man. This is fucking insanity. Top 5 looking like there's going to be a canyon after game 6. Dude, with how much point differential we have right now, dude, 33 points for fucking 4 teams. 4 teams averaging 10 or more is crazy. Like, actually insane. That is a pretty impressive statistic. I mean, right now, too, Stallions have 26 kills, but look at this. We have fucking 6 teams, double-digit KP department, and then we have 5, 7, 5, or no, actually more. We have 7 teams. And then everyone else is just dropping low-key duds right now, bro. Oblivion have 1 kill in 3 games. Team Liquid, with 0 Panic and Sykes, has 4 kills in 3 games. That is just so below. And same with S2, bro. 5 kills, 3 games for S2. Scrims right now are not really mattering that much for what it seems like for S2. Like it's just S2's been dominating scrims. They did really bad in their second set of Pro League. They're doing bad in their game, their third one now. It's a little bit concerning for me for the boys at S2. I'm a little bit fucking nervous. I can't lie. They're making me scared. It's the car. I don't know what it is, dude. I don't know what's making teams struggle so much, bro, leading into their games for Pro League. I'm not 100% sure what it is. I'm not convinced. All right, Chad. Well, obviously here, man, we have our weather report over on Storm Point coming out right now. Now, listen, Storm Point, like we said earlier, dude, we have a ton of squads with their first pick on Storm Point. So the main thing you got to look out for here is which squads did bad and which squads did good on Olympus, because in this situation, they could either have a massive come up for these next 3 games, or it's going to be a shit show. It's one of the two. We don't really know yet. We'll find out here for 4, 5, and 6. Now, for this Storm Point set, let me lock on in here real quick. I do this camera. I do it all manually. I'm a producer of some sorts. You know what I'm saying? Now, for this game number, one second here. Now, for this game here, bro, as you can see, brother, on this side of the map for Storm Point. Now, one of the main things you got to keep a lookout for, and you guys can't see my face. Let me see if I can lock this in real quick. There we go. That's horrible. We're doing our best, though. Give me a break. I am new to this, not true to this. So we have Zeus Station here for NIP. We're going to have a lightning rod for us, brother. Now, look at that. 14. We have 6. We got fucking all these low numbers. Anything sub 20 here on this map means that they chose this POI first. So you could see teams like Falcons over at Northpad, right? You could see teams like Elite Esports or Metaculture choosing 29th. So Northpad was the second Falcons pick. Metaculture, their second pick was Outpost North. But main things I want to look out for here, dude, that I really want to give you a look down for is Team Liquid. Right now, brother, Team Liquid picked this at 9th place for Launchpad. Now, that's not bad. In this situation, that is not terrible, but their games 1 through 3 were so egregious that now their Storm Point games need to be picture perfect. Luckily, they have a good POI to maneuver from, but right now, bro, Launchpad needs to be gorgeous for Team Liquid to make a bounce back. It is possible, though, indeed. HBM goes 4th at Pylon, which is interesting. But one of the main things to look out for here, dude, is Falcons, obviously in the top 5 of this leaderboard, but alongside of his Stallions. Stallions go Wall 15th. Stallions have been playing very good so far this set. I don't mind the Wall pick, but if the zone doesn't go Wall, I'm not a huge fan. And now for teams that need to turn around, right? We have the boys, I believe, over at Oblivion. They chose what? I can't even see them on this fucking map, dude. Where the hell is Oblivion at? What the fuck did these guys choose, bro? Dick and balls? The fuck is Oblivion? They chose Cock? Where are these guys? Why can't I see them? Fucking Checkpoint, dude. What the fuck? So Oblivion chose Checkpoint. Now that's bad. Can't say I'm a fan of Checkpoint 18th when your set on Olympus was so dog shit. It's not going to be easy to really gain momentum from a POI like Checkpoint. You also have some really solid squads that like to feed face around you. Metaculture is one of those teams that are an absolute wild card. Oblivion will not be ready for those 3v3s the same way they are in other circumstances, but we'll see what happens here. We'll see if Metaculture maybe beef with Falcons. I don't mind the Northpad pick, but I don't like it when there's a team Outpost North. Obviously, Metaculture chose Outpost North after the Northpad pick. We'll see if the beef goes down. Welcome to the WIG Weather Report, and we're going to lock on in here, man, for game number 4 in just a little bit. That is the Storm Point POIs that are coming in here, man, for the next 3 games. I appreciate y'all hanging out. Let's lock the fuck on in. Game number fucking 4 underway in a little. Look how easy this is, dude. Look at this. Oh my God, bro. I'm going to literally, dude, I want to put pictures of Monsoon up there, bro, twerking and shit. That's actually, dude, we should do that. I should ask Monsoon for a video of him dancing and then just have that in the background for Wham Bam. Oh, actually, I'm going to cook up soon. Hell yeah, brother. All right, lock on in game 4, chat. Where do we think this ends? What's your first end game POI for game number 4?
Second warning here, right? Something I want us to add to our, pre-planning, to our Valcult talks, right, is who can punish us. Right? If we have time to talk about it, let's talk about that too. If we
see a couple of Oblivion believers in the chat here, man, huh?
Make sure that that's fresh on our mind. We love SP. About to go into it.
Start them. Don't watch me while driving, bro. Fuck me. Listen to me, but don't watch me.
And we love it, baby.
I'm going wall game 1 or game 4. My apologies. Game 1 on Storm Point. We're going wall. That's my guess. I do think we're going to have at least one north pad zone for Falcon though to light this bitch up. So I'm expecting a north pad. I'm expecting a checkpoint zone. And I think we're going to go down south. I think we're going Echo HQ for one of these two. We had an Echo HQ zone for APAC South and it played out beautifully. Big fan. Yeah, that's the team. That's not the team coach. That's the S2 coach, I believe, who I absolutely love. Great guy. Super solid coach.
All right. Be confident. Trust your gut. All right.
Hell yeah.
Well, sir. Second warning, baby. They're about to GLHF us, and we are about to fucking dominate, baby. Let's make something happen here. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. I love him, bro. Eros is the man.
Ready to not sit in a corner and get Maggie drilled.
Ready to dominate. That's what he said. That's what he meant.
Since that doesn't happen, we're winning the game.
Yes, sir, baby. I like that, man. I'm a big fan. I really like when coaches just have that positive reinforcement, dude, but also at the same time, they kind of also give good critiques. I think that's one of those coaches that I really respect in this community, in this league. I don't really know him too much. Haven't really listened to him unless he was working with S2, but big fan in the short time that I've heard his voice. Good dude. All right, what's our guess here, chat? Put some 1s in the chat if you think Team Liquid turns it around. Put some 2s in the chat if you think Liquid does not turn around. What's the thought process here? What are we feeling? I want to get a little vibe check from you guys as to who you think is going to pop off for 4, 5, and 6. A lot of 2s, so a lot of doubters here, man, to see if Liquid does turn this around. Okay, what do you think here, chat? Do you think Oblivion turns this around? 1 if you think Oblivion have a good game, 4, 5, and 6. Press 2 if you think Oblivion has a bad second half, just like the first. Okay. A lot more 1s for the Oblivion, so a little bit more faith in Oblivion than it is Liquid. Makes sense. I think the vibe turnaround for Oblivion would be a little bit easier than Liquid sometimes, just in my mind. But I am kind of...
Draft reined in. As I mentioned earlier, everyone prioritizing Storm Point for the most part. You can see 1st through 11th, and we didn't see anyone go over to Olympus until then.
That's insane. As we take a look at the POI and seeing, what has been prioritized, does it mean here, Gaskin, that these teams just want to put all these points onto Storm Point, maybe play just as aggressively as we had seen in our previous region in EMEA?
I just think Storm Point is far more difficult from certain POIs to try and find points and success. So people want to get the best POIs they can and get on those tridents. And also we know that Olympus still is a little bit iffy for some teams. Yes, there are tridents you can play for, but I think there is a little bit more to work with on that side. So the POIs seem a little bit fairer for some situations. So everyone says, you know what, screw it. Let's go for our more tried and tested map of Storm Point, and perhaps that can be the points maker. Now we are going to see Crypto, Alter, and Watson are all banned. So what does that mean the compensations are going to look like here? Or are we going to see certain scenarios where teams have to go for something a little bit different?
Well, maybe they're going to have to strap on their diapers because I think the baby comp is inevitable, right? Dan, we get to go on to Storm Point where rotations matter just as much as these tridents, which is why we see so much priority in early fights over those tridents in general. Diving into game number 4, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in with us. It is match day 4 here in Americas. And Dan, I did get word from Genome, by the way, in the back that in our previous game, apparently Panic incorrectly picked Maggie instead of Wraith. So hopefully there's no panic picking here for Storm Point because time is of the essence and you only have 3 more games to go.
Yeah, I might say compensation instead of composition again as well. So that was a mistake from my part, but it made me laugh. So that's all that matters. Yeah, see, you know what? If you say it with confidence, people might just question it, but they'll allow it to fly by. But nice guys, first place at the moment. Can they hold on to first place? Is going to be my biggest question. Now we're here on Storm Point because it might not be as kind of sporadic and random in certain areas with some of these very difficult zones that we did see on the previous map. Looks like we're going to be heading a little bit further north on Storm Point to kick things off. So Stallions, who have had a pretty good day thus far, they're going to be in a good spot because they've got Ring Console and Survey Beacon to utilize from wall.
They're feasting and they're already looking to move, and I do like this position for Stallions because aside from that Evil Harvester that you mentioned, they will be able to also play off that high ground here, and once they get that information, they'll already know which of these teams are on this quick rotate. It's inevitable until Nice Guys look down at Purple Slushee, who are at Cascade Falls, who get the information off the ring console, which deploys the evac tower automatically, and Source Gaming coming in from right behind Nice Guys. It looks like Nice Guys are already taking some shots at Purple Slushee. Hopefully all three of them were able to take the evac tower, and if they're not, which it doesn't look like they were, they're actually evacuating over to the north side. Evicted, if you could say it, and I hear the fighting going down as they're going to be rotating to the north side, and they're not alone. The third party is coming up on the other side of the choke.
Get used to seeing plenty of Gibby bubbles as well going into this one, because we have 18 Gibraltars in the lobby. He'll be banned going into match 5, so expect lots of bubble fights and also a lot of bombardments in the final zone. If you don't know that Gibby's changes have allowed him in his final perk selection to change those bombardments from just a single large radius bombardment to 3 separate bombardments that are slightly smaller in radius, but still very, very oppressive and very difficult to play against.
I feel like the William Dafoe meme when I'm like looking up and it's like, it never ends. It just keeps crashing on my head. And there's nothing you can do about it unless you take some cover or have a Gibby of their own. I mean, the fact that you could also have that electric dome is insane. It's been interesting to see how a lot of these teams have incorporated these different compositions. Now you got me saying it now. Now I gotta think about it.
Yeah.
How do you gotta do that, man? But now you have to consider how that's evolved though, between map to map, and with more teams taking their time here and kind of force on the outskirts of Wall, the teams who don't have access to the ring beacon over by Wall, like HUSS will have to start guessing where a lot of these teams have congregated, so that way they can see where that zone is pulling.
I like this position as well from Stallions, as the zone does typically finish, if not here, just a little bit further south, which will still mean they have the high ground over everyone when the zone starts to close in. So if they can hold that for the majority of this game, they should be in a good position for endgame. And of course, right now, they are up there with Nice Guys at the top of the leaderboard, so they can look to try and elevate their position even more and create that gap between themselves and everyone else in the lobby. But it'll be somewhat of a quiet game for now. Speaking of somewhere where it's not quiet, it's over here, where you can see Yanya has just been obliterated, and it looks like the rest of the team is about to follow. Easy as you like. Even with Newcastle trying to do something a little bit desperate, it's not going to happen for them here. Goodbye, see you later. Legacy out in 20th position. Sadly, on their rotation, they got caught by Men of Culture, but it looks like there's other teams in the area here, Vicky.
Yeah, with Team Falcons prowling about too to get involved in on this fight. Having to be careful. I also really like the stare down from Bottery on the outskirts of that Gibby Dome, but you're also isolating so many of these fights while the Evil Harvester is right next to them. Falcons deviate their attention to Elite because they're neighboring the building right alongside them. We've seen so many fights go down here on Pride Rock, but this is rather isolated. And as Falcons kind of back away, they're still paying attention to the choke that we saw in our previous fight. Purple Slushee now just poking their head to see what's going on, if there's an opportunity for them to get involved, but it's not going to be the case here because they also don't want to give away their position with so many teams trying to play up on top of the hill that we just saw Stallions are, because Men of Culture could just go right behind them instead.
Yeah, sometimes it is just about avoiding that fight and not getting a little bit too zesty, and you want to make sure that you just want to play for a little bit later on, because if you commit too early, you might find yourself just in absolute warfare where there's 3 or 4 teams all starting to get involved. As Elite Esports have taken a little bit of damage, they've lost 1 at the moment. Freethinkers look to try and hunt their enemies at the moment, but in the area is Team Falcons, so you need to make sure this fight is a quick one.
We're just talking about the RE45 over by APAC and the difference of a lot of these different weapon compositions. Gary, he broke Falcon's ankles before, and now he takes another victim in the form of Elite. Falcons are still within the vicinity, by the way, and Freethinkers now trying to dip and dodge negative has gone away and leaving Gary behind, while Falcons are still looking on the street side. They have to pick up Gary, though. Uber driver just a little bit late, and while they are going to be able to try to rotate outside of where Falcons is, they're claiming that survey beacon, because we assume here that Freethinkers probably already had that survey beacon to their back, so they have to get into that next zone.
Gary is such a wild game attack, by the way. If one day Gary wins a world championship, I cannot wait to hear one of you scream, "And Gary gets the job done." It's just such a, like, mundane, normal, average Joe kind of name. Average Gary, should I say.
Oh my.
Yeah, I love it when game attacks are like that, when people are like, "What's your game attack?" "Oh, it's Gary." Nice.
I'm,
Good job,
I'm,
bud.
I'm waiting for Jimmy John's one day, right? Like, just little Jimmy coming through for the dub. But you know what? For now, I will settle on Gary. I also really like how Gary's been able to play today. And Waltzy, after the rest of Falcons have now taken up onto the zip line, they're looking down to make sure that their backs are cleared. And they get the information off the survey beacon as a priority. The ring console's also right there. And that means that they've called out Thuggets, who are over by the Evil Harvester side.
It's Gary with an extra Y, just to clarify, just in case anyone was wondering as well. Sacred goes down to Kurev, but it was from distance, so I'm sure that you will be absolutely fine. Zone-wise, yep, there you go. It's over towards the zip buildings. Stallions still going to be in prime position. Purple Slushee and Nice Guys also taking that spot on the southern side of one. So Stallions and Nice Guys leading, and they're going to be on either side of these zips here, Vicky. So it's going to be very interesting where that zone does finish. If it transitions a little bit further north, could really hurt Nice Guys, because Ninjas in Pyjamas going to be able to hold that position from most of these teams. For everyone else, it's about rotating in and trying to find a spot. It's not going to be easy. There is not much real estate to play with here. It's going to be trying to create your own cover, utilizing Gibby, utilizing Newcastle as well, to just try and survive in this final zone.
You know what's interesting? How different it is to see the amount of ramparts that we had in EMEA, and then we have one here from Flat. And it's for all the right reasons when you can expect the Gibby to come in too. And even when you're dealing with a Newcastle on the other side, and you look at NIP and their composition, they got the catalyst. They have those walls to try to isolate more of these fights. They have the pressure too with the Mad Maggie Wrecking Ball to just help boost their way if they do want to try to engage in a fight. But I'm not expecting them to move because I really like the positioning that NIP are in. They don't have to give up that space, but the one team they do have to worry about is Falcons, who do want to rotate on the outskirts of the northern side of the zone.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to go through wall at the moment. So I was mentioning NIP earlier, and they're in a really good spot because they have no one above them. But if they do let their guard down a little bit, if they presume that the north is safe, which, you know, if you grew up in England, you know it's not, then Team Falcons definitely are going to be able to catch off guard here. So NIP, hopefully they'll be wise to it and keep on their toes. Otherwise, it could be quite ugly. That being said, actually, there's another team up there. They were off my mini-map, but you can see, yeah, Kimchi and the rest of the squad now coming in on their Trident as well. So HUSS going to be involving themselves in this northern side. So things just got a little bit interesting up here.
And they get the building for free, by the way. I think that's even crazier. Sending out. Big shot from the Hemlock is going to be Duplex, but this works into their composition. You talk about lacking a Valkyrie here. It's okay, because they land over where they could get a Trident and they could just bunker down. This is the type of composition that you want to play for the end zone, and they found their free house. Free real estate here is crazy in this economy, but so many longbow shots I hear ringing in my ears. It forces up the dome, and Unreal Nightmare now are forced to get this res.
They do get it though, and they are going to be able to hold, thankfully, to that bubble. But yeah, this is the trouble in this kind of zone. You are so vulnerable from multiple angles, and Rails goes down. They are going to be able to get the res again, but sadly, you're just going to get peppered away and focused, and eventually you might find yourself falling. So is this where you really want to play, or do you try and reconsider where you move to? It was Oblivion who were firing down some shots. As I've said, reigning world champs at the moment, only on 2 points. Can they find something here in match 4 to try and wake up their day?
This is crazy. A team that takes a little bit of time to wake up, but we mentioned Monsoon and the charge rifle, Dan, and we see the kill feed. Monsoon getting that knock, but won't be able to fully capitalize here as they are trying to hold out a lot of teams on the edge of zone. The fact that we get another bubble and another reset here, the Unreal Nightmare are still alive, is insane. This is the stall that you like to see when it comes to the baby comp.
She said it. She said it, guys. It makes me shudder. I'm going to start a petition, everyone, that we change the name of Baby Comp to something else. Now, I haven't come up with something that is better, but I do think there is something we can change it to. Pros, please, I beg you, be creative, and we will follow your lead. If not, when it comes around to next week, I will have made something. Mark my words.
Mark your words. Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Oh no, I've just remembered next week I'm with Onza. He's not going to let me do it, is he? He's the one who... He's definitely helping with this baby comp name. Anyway, Unreal Nightmare, they move on to a different position. And again, the bubble comes down and the babying starts to happen once more. They are going to be alive. They're going to be okay. Men of Culture have to get the bubble down as well. Everyone needs Gibby right now. If there was no Gibby on this map, so many teams would be dead.
Well, that's the point of the baby comp, right? You want to put on your Pampers and make sure you stay alive when you're clenching. And Elite Esports currently hanging out by the choke, still on full blues. We did see that insane shot on the other side with the Hemlock, but looking at where the zone is pulling, I expected this. We've seen this zone so many times, Gaskin. On the outskirts of where Stallions are, and it benefits them considering that their POI is over by wall. They get a scan, they see they can play up on the high ground of this hilltop, and right next to an Evil Harvester, not only denying that from other teams who may wanted to go for an early rotate, but also were able to clear teams that may have wanted to go from the tunnel side. So the side-by-side is important because Elites are in a rougher spot. They're on the outskirts of zone, and they're trying to see if they can brute force their way through the left side where Unreal Nightmare is also holding.
Stallions moved there so fast at the start of this game as well from wall, but now other teams are starting to join them in the area. Oblivion just found a position not too far away. Liquid are using Valkyrie to try and find a position to call home as well, but they might just land into a lot of commotion here because NIP have got eyes on, but that's why the Gibby bubble comes down to protect you. But now this is where you need to be assessing. What do we do from here? If you just sit in the bubble, survive, when the bubble disappears, you're dead. So Newcastle wall comes down to try and create a little bit of cover for them, but it might just be temporary, but it looks like they've been able to wedge themselves between a wall and a rock to be able to work for something right now.
Literally a wall, and with the Wrecking Ball can be the strike that we keep mentioning. Nice bubble to close in the gap. Having to be careful and avoiding getting hit by the nade. The bombardment comes crashing down, and as you mentioned, the split up with the new perk on that bombardment allows Dark to wrap around, get 2 knocks here, and the isolation on another bubble, because then Elite, as they wanted to get involved in this fight, are getting shot from behind. Unreal Nightmare eventually get eliminated.
Yeah, we're only down to 18 squads now. Make it 17 because Perpy Slushee have just been eliminated. Purple, not Perpy, but actually I quite like Perpy Slushee. Maybe we'll rename them as well as Baby Coppers. Now you're going to see the bubble is down. Elite trying to stay alive. You can see behind the tree as well. They eventually are going to push in, take full advantage, and Men of Culture ripped away from this server. But it's not over yet for Elite Esports because HBM are watching on and looking to maybe pounce themselves.
They had a pretty big last game too, so being stuck on the southern side of zone where you're gonna have to worry about 5-6 squads here collapsing on you, while all the rest of the teams here have high ground, are also overlooking some of these fights going down. Stallions also looking down at S2, but guess who is in the next zone? The only team waiting is Oblivion. The fact that they made this quick rotate right outside of Command Center, going right through the north side while Stallions was fighting is perfect. HBM now getting involved in our previous fight.
Source Gaming eliminated, 15 squads now left. HBM going to have to back off because they can't really commit to that one. They were a little bit worried about what was going to happen, as Elite will get the respawn by the looks of things. Nice guys, Zest, Free Thinkers all watching on. Do you survive out of the sky here? Yes, thankfully, plenty of branches to work with to give you that extra little bit of cover. But really, where do you go from here? You're going to have to go from bubble to bubble each time to try and survive and get closer to this zone, because you've only got 30 seconds before we start to close in.
Literally the only safe space, right? Because look at these shots, look at the pressure here that Elite Esports is under. And we saw a lot of utility being utilized to take so many back-to-back fights with their backs against literally the ring. And looking to the right side, nice guys here are going to be able to engage. This could actually be the green light for HBM to finish off what Elite Esports had done. And after getting that res, they are really hungry, and Sang literally one-shot too. Hambino forced to back away, trying to see if they could try to pop this shield back, but they actually try to swing on them. They get the knock, and the immediate res comes in.
A little bit of cover as well, potentially, with the riot drill, just in case anyone wants to push from behind. But now that zone is going to be chomping away from behind. And this is where you need the Wraith Portal, and this is where the new changes from the Wraith Portal really come into effect. With that sphere to protect you until the portal goes down, means that it doesn't matter that they're still in zone. And Nice Guys just about escape.
Thankfully, with the portal, you have some sort of time to breathe. Hiding between the rocks, they were getting pressured out by the team that's holding onto high ground. I believe that it's flat, but the action has gone down. We still have 14 squads in this round 4, Gaskin. And as I said, that HBM do get eliminated, but it's going to come down to about, what, 5 squads or so, 6 squads, with everybody still stuck on the outskirts of zone.
And this has been insane so far today. The amount of teams surviving to late game as Nice Guys eventually do go down. Team Liquid have been able to solidify their spot here. Elite Esports still struggling, but somehow still alive.
No way.
I don't know how, because they've been focused on by about 8 different teams at this point. But look at the kill feed. Kurev's just gone down. HUSS get eliminated. Kimchi has just fallen as well. Duplex goes as Elite Esports finally get wiped as NIP look to try and stay alive, but they cannot do so. Falcons dominate the northern side. side and look to try and take as much space as possible. Stallions have been joined by Thuggets on that eastern side, and it is full 11 and Oblivion who are center zone at the moment.
It's so crazy that Falcons literally just cleared that entire northern side. We talked about it before when it came to the rotate. As Slushee, with these longbow shots, called out sights, but thankfully from Team Liquid, they will be able to get that res thanks to the bubble. Thuggets now feeding their attention over to the back end because remember, Stallions are still right on top of them. S2 playing off the low ground, literally 3 teams piled up. And by the way, none of them are inside this next zone. Only a corner of this building is in that next zone, and you have to go on the outside, out in the open. Team Falcons, they're hungry. They see full 11 now, and they want to be able to make sure that they get this northern side for free.
Here come the bombardments. 1, 2, and the third is going to hit even harder as Falcons now will utilize these bombardments just to regain position a little bit, force those teams away. Full 11 do get eliminated, and now it's a bubble battle underneath this building as well, because both teams just trying to do as much damage as possible before they have to back out and maybe reposition, because when those bubbles go down, you're going to be so vulnerable to other squads. And then almost identical thing happening at the moment between Oblivion and Flat, and this is a huge fight, because if you can win this one, you'll have the entirety of the Southwest.
Ayo, actually a double bubble here coming back to back, and now Big Louie with the rest of Flat are stuck against the wall, but there's so many other teams. We saw what Falcons are able to do, but they have to look to the backs because Thuggets actually were forced to take a roundabout rotation outside of zone and are stuck on the other side of the wall. Slushee, as he's trying to fly, hopefully they don't hit him. Blink wants to capitalize, get some free KP. Monsoon and the rest of Oblivion had rotated so early, and they have taken so many fights. Look at the damage output that Monsoon has put down, and they've also forced out one of the bubbles, so they're holding on to that bombardment. As you could have those 3. It's so crazy. Sacred also putting another point on the board.
I really hope all these players have had their energy drinks, their Red Bull, their coffee, because I cannot stress enough how locked in you have to be for a final circle like this with all these bombardments, all these bubbles. It is very difficult to stay focused as Stallions get sent on. The slam comes through, but Albrelli could still do some real damage with this PK. Sends himself in, but is it going to be enough on his own? Misses, whiffs, can connect, and Alb is not going to get the job done, so he leaves Sacred on his own. But Sacred does find one. Maybe, just maybe, Sacred can do it. No, he can. There is a third party as S2 survive on a slither.
Zach Mazer barely surviving, literally 1 HP, pulls off the shield bat. I love how we saw Sacred just try to fly away and then get right behind them in slow motion. But the other team's keeping them in their sight. Another bombardment. Oblivion have used up that Gibby bubble, and they're looking up at Team Liquid, who, by the way, were able to also look at Falcons, who were trying to keep control over onto this north side. They fell earlier on. Team Liquid and Oblivion up on this high ground, while S2 are trying to play very quiet here before they are forced to drop down. Zach calling in the bubble.
Also crazy, we looked at both Liquid and Oblivion before this match, and we were saying they were struggling on Olympus, but now on Storm Point, they look far more comfortable as they are both in the top 4, and they need these points. They're both in, what, 17th and 18th respectively at the moment, as S2 will dance down, they get behind the shield, and they will survive and utilize this loot bin as well as a little bit of extra cover, but there is bombardments flying everywhere. It's hard to really see what's happening for a lot of these players, so you just have to ride it out, wait for that bubble to go, and then suddenly you have to launch an attack.
It's like a screaming cat meme. You just wish for the best here, but you've used up the bubble and you see the opportunity. You can sandwich the team right in front of you. Team Liquid in trouble, have used up their own bubble. S2 also keeping their eye on Flat, because Flat are just waiting to third party this. You talk about Carter popping up. Team Liquid in panic, going down. Flat now could wrap around S2. Team Liquid stuck between Oblivion, who are also not trying to overextend. Vital Zone now closing in.
Flat arguably in one of the best positions, and also worth noting, they have the Rampart. We've mentioned the Rampart win rate in ALGS, and it might be increased here with this performance. You go up in the air if you're Carter, but Sheila will rip you right back down as Team Liquid eliminated here, and Flat looking to dominate.
The fact that all of S2 took that Valkyrie ult, Flat, fully healed, are waiting to shoot the RE45 and waiting to get the dub, because Flat, the only Rampart team in the lobby, take game number 4.
Rampart stock value starting to rise. I know why people don't use Rampart as much. I mean, it doesn't necessarily offer what some of the other legends in the same category do, and definitely against the Hemlock can be difficult, but in those situations when you can just create the constant cover when other teams only have the bubble to work with, because obviously the Newcastle wall is only going to come up every now and then, but you could just be slamming down those walls like there's no time behind it, and you're going to be in such a good position, which they did find themselves, and they had the high ground as well. Very well performed by Flat, but what was a very hectic endgame there, Vic.
Yeah, and that's coming out of their POI in Jurassic. The fact that they were able to find themselves in that spot is crazy, and with a good spot to hold with the Rampart, right? They get first place, they get 7 KP, and it's almost like, Dan, we were writing the script ourselves, because every team that we mentioned that needed to show up literally did so in that game 4.
Well, I mean, I didn't want to say we're writing the script. I didn't want to give it away, but, you know, we have certain kind of powers as commentators, that's for sure. But Flat, I'm sure, will be happy with that. They get a win on the board. 7 kills as well to go alongside it, Rain Day, in what was a chaotic ending, but certainly an enjoyable one.
I actually can't believe it. This is really strange, honestly, because I started this off by naming the bottom 4 teams in the league who had been performing today. Then you guys talked about the bottom 4 teams today so far, and then they were in the top 4. Oblivion, Flat, Team Liquid, and S2. That's 20th, 19th, 18th, and 15th before this game. Wow. We are seeing some serious parity, while some teams early on have stepped up and separated themselves. Stallions, Falcons early. It has now become a very close race. Everyone's in the hunt. One big game, I mean, it could easily take you from 17th all the way to 3rd place if you get a 27, 25 point game. That's how close things are right now. And if they stay this close, we're going to have an amazing game 5 and game 6. But before we get to that, normally we bring on some interviews on the show to get you talking to community members, highlighting what they do in the Apex scene. And of course, if they overlap with the ALGS, even better. These guys right here, they run what honestly is one of the most impressive amateur pro scenes that we've ever seen. It is for the community. They're running more tournaments than any single, I think, unit of people that I know in competitive esports by themselves. Give it up for His and Hers Live, everybody. Welcome to the show, guys. It's great to have you here. And you know, I just want to say welcome.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here, and thank you for that really sweet intro.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
Yeah, no problem. Listen, I want to start off again. You guys have created a very unique brand for yourself. I mean, obviously both of you streaming at the same time, but the way that you've taken that brand and then said, you know, we want to engage in the community. We want to be a part of something and put things on for people, create experiences, not just be the experience that people can watch. We want people to be a part of something. It feels bigger than that. Can you guys elaborate on your mission and why you have so much passion for, you know, putting on these tournaments, but also the Apex Legends community?
So competitive community is what we have created, and it's something called Apex Academy. And we just think everyone should be able to enjoy and experience competitive Apex, no matter your skill. No matter how much of a beginner or bot that you are at the game, and no matter, you know, how amateur, mid-level you are, we have a league for everyone. And we even have something for an older community called the Boomer League. But
yeah, Vicky can get in that this year.
Yes.
Wow, that's crazy.
Congratulations. Come on in. It's great.
Thank you for having me in the club.
We would love to have you. Anyone from 30, and we have some competitors in their mid-60s that play. Like, so many generations love
Rain
this
Day,
game.
you can enter that one.
I think I know who they're talking about, by the way. That's amazing. That's honestly amazing.
This started from the very beginning when we started stream. Our friends were wanting to play, so we kind of had these small tournaments with just amongst our friends. And then my mom got involved, so we were like, man, we should have like a Boomer League and get her in. So it's kind of just snowballed from there, just from small group of friends and family to it started snowballing. So here we are. We're almost 800 events coming up next month. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow, I love that, guys. I mean, actually, you guys were able to cast an event that I was able to participate in, and it was my first ever tournament. And I think it's great because you also give awareness and a spotlight to a lot of these other smaller content creators, so that way you can help be the bridge between the players who have these big dreams that want their first shot, which, by the way, I did win that with Kyrie. Shout out to Kyrie. But it's also great to see how that's been able to get played out. I mean, do you guys have any advice to the players watching at home, how they could get started for their first chance in competing?
Yeah, so we organize all of the events through our Discord. Not everyone starts out in bot league. I am going to say I am looking for more bots, so that's going to be lower level competitors, beginner skill level. We need more. Everyone in our community is just getting too good. They're getting too good at this game. I need more beginners. If you've never played Apex, I'm looking for you. Get your moms, get your dads in here. Like we need more beginner levels for our bot league. But we have a really amazing community of just warm, welcoming people that love competitive Apex. They love watching it. They love watching ALGS, and they love competing in the amateur level tournaments that we host. So join Discord, come by a stream, and we'll get you guys set up.
I mean, I really appreciate you guys bridging the gap, because one of the main things for me watching on as a caster and a fan of Apex is some people will play ranked and they don't feel like necessarily it replicates the ALGS. And then you guys are able to do that for people who don't get to play it. So thank you, firstly, is what I'm going to say, because it's been a pleasure to watch your tournaments. But I just wanted to give you guys a chance to talk about what is coming up. What tournaments are you running? What can we expect from you guys in the Apex Academy?
Okay.
Yeah, so, and just to touch on that, so like if you're running pubs in Apex or ranked in Apex, it's a blast. But there's something about that ALGS end zone when there's 10 squads and everyone's in a ditch, and you know, it's just so much fun. So that's kind of what we're trying to emulate, and that's why that balancing is super important, so that like there's so many teams alive in game to experience that. And you occasionally will get a rank match like that, but you know, every single one of these Apex Academy matches is like that. But yeah, upcoming we have a brand new series that we're doing. We were kind of just running one event per night and then it would just be done. But right now we have a series where for example, we're going to run 7 events and we're accumulating points over each event. And you can, over the course of the entire series, accumulate points and placement that way.
Yeah, so we've been doing some mixed skill where it's low level, mid level, and a high level gamer. We love bringing those together because our high level gamers really take the 2 mid level and low level under their wing, and they help coach them. It's just really good community bonding. It helps them become better in-game leaders as well. So we've been focusing really hard this month on mixed stuff. Some of our events are solo queue. You don't need teammates to sign up. We'll help hopefully introduce you to other people, and we'll even rotate the teams, so you get to meet lots of new people during one of the tournaments. And then sometimes we'll host some team queue stuff as well. So upcoming, we've got some boomer leagues, as you guys can see on the calendars, and that academy league that Andrew was telling you about. I use a lot of terms that aren't really that easy to understand unless you come by and just be more than happy to explain. We have graphics and documents for everything, but we have a lot of events. We wanted to make sure we had a little bit of something for everyone, no matter the skill.
It is a tremendous task. I have done, I think, maybe one. I think I've thrown one event in my life, and it was great. And I talk about it all the time. And it was actually a big event that got me into esports and my first job in video games. But you guys have done 800. That is another level. I don't think I'm ever going to touch that one. I think you guys win. But more importantly, before we let you go, just any final thoughts and sign-offs where people can kind of sign up. Is it just coming to the stream? Is it checking out certain socials on certain days? If they want to engage with you guys, where's the best place to show up?
So yeah, in the Discord, we have some moderators that help on the back end, and we're on there all day as well, answering questions. And Juka's on there from the second she wakes up to the second she goes to sleep. So, and then I just have one more thing to say as far as Apex community. Shout out to everybody out there who just watches and plays. We stumbled upon this community on accident, and it's been the coolest and best thing. We've been doing this for 7 years, and it's an absolute blessing. So we're very happy to be here and very honored.
Well, congratulations, guys. Andrew and Juka, His and Hers Live. Make sure to check them out live, and maybe, hey, join the Apex Academy if it sounds right for you. You know, Vicky and I will be in the Boomer League. Dan, he has a beard, but he's actually 16, so he can't compete in that yet. All right, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We appreciate you, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you so much.
Guys.
His and Hers Live. and a little bit of Dan lore. We're actually going to say goodbye to him, so he doesn't have a chance to respond to that one just yet. But yeah, undercover. He actually needs a parent to sign a liability release as a guardian to be on these broadcasts. Pretty amazing, Vicky.
Yeah, you know what? It's crazy. You call me out and then you say guessing is 16. You know what, Rain? I'll never forget this. I'll remember it next time we have to do our own 1v1s as we move on to game number 5. It's been Gibby galore up until now, okay? So you can't really spin around, stop, double take 3 times, and then pelvic thrust to blow your bubbles down because we won't have any of that going into this game. And in game number 5, Rain Day, we know where our teams are situated. It's actually very close with Stallions tying things up together with Elite Esports, 44 points each, and then Team Falcons, who have been preying on the edge of zone.
Stop, turn around 3 times to get the bubble bust. Is that the Gibby shuffle?
Yeah.
Are we creating a new dance here?
Hey, you know what? SpongeBob and Patrick would be very happy. That's how they actually end up getting their own bubble buddy. But these guys won't have those bubble buddies.
All right. Well, I love it. Coming into our 5th game of today, it's been a story of the teams on the bottom getting the buff. For whatever reason, they're starting with vigor. Every time they lose or are in those final 4 slots, they jump into the next lobby with increased strength. And yeah, shout out all my Slay the Spire 2 fans as well. Play a little card game in between the days of Apex. But also, I think, you know, really it is a bit of a strategy here for how are you going to stay and with, I think that's been the strategy of this league. How are you going to withstand when you're not doing well? Because it seems like every single team from Falcons to full 11s to people with 1 games and 1 days to teams like S2 or teams like Elite who have been in 17th place, 18th place, that if you figure out a way to bounce back, game's wide open. But it's so far not been the story of teams not able to figure that out at least once.
Yeah, you know what? We take a look at like a team like Stallions, and you talk about the mentality of winning. It comes together with like the vibes of the team. I know we keep talking about that, but it goes hand in hand with the morale that you could push your players. And I actually got to hear a lot from Sacred talking about just that.
Sacred's like Koiful in regard of like his rookie year of Koi. Very talented, very passionate, and very unable to hold back his passion and a lot of his communication. It's a lot of personality on the roster, and it is very, very, I would say, spicy as a team.
Those are words from Nocturnal Rain Day, and I love it too because I was here like just waiting for him to find that next word, wondering, okay, is he gonna throw in a little diss out there, a little Nocturnal special? But no, it's all about the good vibes here and the attitude that these players provide. And with the zone pool over by Pylon, a lot of teams are already making their way, including Full 11 who have that ring console. See the evac towers over on the north side, and a huge pileup already going down into the space that you could share on Pylon.
Teams trying to make their move here. Teams I mentioned and notable to watch: HUSS on the north east side, Falcons on the northwest side, Elite Esports on the west side as well, Thuggets down below. All teams that are going to have to move in. Falcons with north pad feel pretty good though. They'll have a chance to get some of the information that comes from that recon. So hopefully as they make that way down, they'll be able to at least see a good path. But the longer they take here, the more crowded it is going to be. A bit difficult. Might have to take the outskirts side, as already the teams I mentioned, Elite, moving in, trying to find their way into this zone. And you can see it getting a bit contested. Liquid in a building already. Sykes taking some damage, but finding themselves in a pretty decent position, not only in a building, but able to contest, hopefully getting some purple shields, maybe even getting some KP here if things work out, as the focus of attention goes back for Sykes, making sure nobody pushes them.
It's the fact that we won't have an altar, obviously, because it was banned out after game number 2, and having to play patiently. The cat wall was brought in just so that way it can help them out with their rotation. And look how many people are trying to take shots at Team Liquid. They want to capitalize off of this knock. They fully dive in onto this team. They clean them up, and Full 11 get eliminated on the other side of this building. But we know how many other teams are here, and a lot more Seers in this lobby right now.
And this is going to continue to be a fight that Zero needs to manage really well. Overall, Oblivion want to get into the action on the low ground. Big nade coming out. And Blinks are the only one alive. Could be the end of Oblivion. It's going to be the end of Men of Culture instead. Got to get up Monsoon very quickly. He's going to pick that first perk. And Blinkster with a nice finish off there. That's why this man was MVP, or at least one of the reasons, at Champs.
You know, it's always a little weird to me whenever I see Blinkster, by the way, play anything but Wraith. But you know what? I like how we get to have the Valkyrie so active, and you want to take advantage of that, especially on a map like Stormpoint. They're looking to their backs because there could be a team coming out of the vault doors, Stallions, trying to get not only the Evil Harvester, but there's also a ring beacon here. And again, a team that likes to play by the edge that is coming all the way from North Pad is still Team Falcons. They're playing side quest with the survey beacon too to boost up those Evo shields, and this will let Team Falcons know that HUSS is in command center. Where can they go? Source Gaming in the other survey beacon, as well as Free Thinkers just trying to stay alive over onto the south side of Cascade Falls.
Gildersons is a phenomenal player. We've seen him be successful over the course of a lot of this season and previous seasons, but can he be that it factor that Falcons are looking for? I kind of liken him to Effect almost, where he played that role on Alliance, now playing that role on Aurora. Can he do the things that you need someone to do when it's going to be an even fight unless they show up? Can he kind of go into that extra sense of strength, get that 1v2, trade just a little bit more to give Hal and Waltzy the edge? And I mean, we started even off of this, Vicky, that I don't really think Hal has a worry about the quality or the potential of Gildersons and Waltzy. I think what it is the focus. I think it is generally, can you do the right things all the time? And he's so used to a guy like Reps. I know it's been a long time since TSM, but that's the kind of guy he just didn't have to really worry about. He knew he would show up, like the Scottie Pippen to Michael Jordan. Like, he kind of knew Reps was going to hold it down if Hal needed somebody to do that. But I feel like he's just trying to instill that in Waltzy as he's been changing roles, and he's done such a good job on that, and Gildersons as well. He knows they can do better, and right now, what they're doing in this lobby, it feels like that pep talk, that motivation might just work for him.
I really like just the Waltzy growth era too, and also after what we heard in the very beginning of our top of show Rain Day, just the comms coming in, the frustration with Hal caring as much as he does. Obviously, he doesn't think he should have to microplay everything. It's kind of sensical, right? You expect something from your team to know a little bit better, and that could frustrate you. But we know how talented the individual players are on Falcons that Hal is leading, and HUSS will be taking a fight versus NIP. It looks like on that north side, you could see one of the members of Falcons going right back just in case they do just want to delay and get that survey beacon scan. But my attention, this is crazy, because imagine the teams that were banking over into a southern pool, Unreal Nightmare, kind of stuck in that lot in the southern side, will be forced to go through the fence line on the left side of the zone once they all see where that next zone pool is.
I mean, that's a terrible spot. That is such a hard hill to climb right there, and also there's just so many teams ahead. Feels like Unreal Nightmare, they went for broke, 50-50, and it did not go their way. Unfortunate for them. We'll see if they have an opportunity to make it out of there. Unreal Nightmare, of course, not rocking the Valkyrie, unlike Falcons, who are. They're going to be making their way into zone, getting ahead of Ninjas in Pyjamas, and HUSS, who are still alive. NIP taking even longer as Falcons lands. Probably going to get a recon here, see exactly where there is to play. Scanning 16 enemies, and so now that gives Hal some information. How does he want to approach this? They've got the Newcastle ultimate to set up. They've also got Rampart on Gildersons. And so that's going to be two shield comps, two shield characters that are going to help out. Another Valkyrie, two, I think, very quick ultimate accelerants, and now Hal and them can move again. Let's see where they decided after all that information, Vicky, to feel like they could play.
Hey, they got the wall scans here off the Valkyrie UAV, which is even more important. Valkyrie being the second most picked character, and that's why you're seeing a little bit more Rampart too. You expect the Valkyries, and you can expect to see the Sheila, but the fact that they get this for free,
you kidding
with
me?
No pressure. I mean, we will take those, as I always like to say, Rain Day, and also from the southern side, over on the other side on this lot, it's going to be Stallions looking at the hilltop where this choke is.
Yeah, you'll laugh when you see the map when that happens, but we got Stallions as well. Maybe literally just got God's spot off of that double rotate. Admittedly, incredible rotate, incredibly efficient. A recon and two Valkyrie skyward dives. Very, very difficult there. Stallions in trouble. Skittle Cakes, can you get him out of it?
I'm batting.
Hit on the door.
I'm holding her back, Can we swing backside? Right, come to me. 3, 2, 1, swing. Crash up. Back one.
One count. I'll play back.
Keep playing up.
I'm got setting.
I got one. Grab me. Knock two. Nice, live.
Alright, batting. Catch one. She didn't get knocked.
Skill, you and me play out.
He smoked the tag out.
Yeah, it's good. Still here. I.
I'm rezzing. I'm playing res.
Yeah, grab him. I'm
You
holding.
have a knock. Do not let them reset, Val. Or Al.
I won't.
I'm batting.
They're back here. There's another team here.
Okay. Where are they? I'm pyramid.
1 HP on their team. Pyramid. The solo's on the far side here. I'm playing out.
He's phasing out.
They're playing outside pyramid. They're not in.
They're full 3 up. Why was my jets not working? How did they? On me.
Get barrels.
They're here. Gas save this if you have it.
No gas save. After that. I'm playing back. I knocked one.
Nice.
Batting.
2v2, guys. 2v2.
I'm on.
They're resing the smoke.
After that. Can you stop them somehow?
Probably not. I'm ticking 2 of them.
I'm playing British.
Let's kill them.
Almost got Kraber. I'm not kidding. Got him.
Different team.
I hit 195. Let's go.
Kill this guy.
I mean, this is just great play from S2. You can see the difference in these teams, and maybe one day we'll see a calm conversation on the side of S2. But Sacred gonna have to pull out Stallions yet again. It just feels like it's gonna be an uphill battle. He's gonna have to hit some serious shots on that longbow, and he's not gonna do it. Stallions will go down. They played aggressive, but losing Alb, I mean, that's just the name of the game, Vicky. You overcommit and you realize that if you don't get it right, well, you might be selling your entire end game. And unfortunately, it's hard to call it a sell because it was a well-fought battle by both teams, but Stallions go down there. S2 stay alive, and Falcons, well, they are even more center zone after that rotation.
I know they won't be complaining about some of these circle pools once they see that they got that free building, by the way. It's crazy, but I would love to touch up on that point because we've all been there, right? And, you know, it can get a little nerve-wracking when it comes to the comms, and it sucks, too. You heard Al in the comms, like, why were my jetpacks just not working when he was on the Valk? You finally get that first knock, and you want to extend. Now you're out of the lobby. Well, Gary, Dan's favorite name, is here and gets the back-to-back. The RE45 in Gary's hands. I feel like we've been seeing this all day. Has just been insane. Gold laser sight. You got the purple mag on top of it all. The Mad Maggie, the Warden, as I like to call her, is here to deliver, and they've cleared the southern side. There's no other team waiting for them by this choke.
And I was a little surprised. I saw Gary with the R301. I said, uh-oh, bring back the R400. Let me see it. R99, R301. I want to see the combo. But yeah, found the M-Lock and said, nah, we got to play meta. We got to play meta strats. We can't let that kill and that team wipe go to waste. And I agree with you there. Keep it going. Unreal Nightmare, 18 points sitting in the back end of this lobby right now after finding themselves in the top 3 in the start of today on Olympus. Trying to get that rhythm back with how they began. Elite, though, Vicky, first place right now. Just a strong performance. They are right next to Falcons on the outskirts. And this is just a great performance from a team that needed it.
And yeah, that's what the lead, only like a 1-point lead. It is so tight in the top 4 spots in Americas today. Team Liquid, though, having to wake up themselves. The fact that they only have 16 points in total is insane to me, right? We keep highlighting all these amazing players. Team Liquid having another set of talented players. I heard a Kraber shot in the distance as 2. They count their blessings and they survive, and they found this rotate thanks to Carter on the Valkyrie.
Yeah, this is a great spot. S2 have gone through the gauntlet just to get here, and it's only 15 squads left. Imagine just barely getting a point for everything that you've done and all the fighting that's happened. Unbelievable. But once it goes from 15, it could easily get to 7 real quick. 1 fight for each team, and now you're already in, like I said, top 7. So nice guys here. They did not finish last time. They finished first, to be exact. Cody's still alive, as well as Sang. In the Wraith portal, should be giving Cody a little bit of respite there and safety. Cody will take the portal as well. They'll be on high ground. Caustic gas everywhere. I think line of sight is just going to be important. It's not about fighting. It's just about staying out of intention. Cody's found a little rat spot, and he said, "Come near me," saying, "I'm open. I can heal. I can keep us safe." And certainly it has worked. Out of sight, out of mind.
It's just so unfortunate too, because right before, you know, putting down the portal, they kind of scattered around. This is so much pressure. Zero wanting to get the free KP, eliminate the nice guys. And that's crucial too. They have information thanks to Sykes being on the Seer, and being able to retaliate that information just allowed them to get the KP that they need. Remember, we were just talking about how Team Liquid needs to wake up. This is game number 5. You don't have much room for error, while Falcons have woken up a few games before and won't see being able to find that pick off of Orange.
I will say that it's Zero playing the Bangalore. That is bringing out a very interesting choice here. Obviously, Bangalore has been a legend that we've seen over the course of, you know, many seasons. But to be showing up here, I mean, very low pick, but also got a lot of flexibility on this map. Used to be the go-to pick on Storm Point, Vicky. So kind of nice to see Zero mixing it up on this team.
Kind of goes hand in hand with the changes of the different legend compositions, as well as how we've updated the game with our legends just getting new upgrades on perks. Dark being on the Mad Maggie. Elite having to start moving, but you know who's waiting for them up on the hill? It is Team Falcons, who once again are still holding the same building that they got for free with the Rampart too. So good luck trying to push into that one. Team Liquid, though, have a longer journey ahead of them. You can see Zero with the pings by the fence line. They're trying to see if they can wrap up behind Source Gaming, who is stuck behind the Rampart walls, but they're busy looking at flag. Could this perhaps be a solo here, and they're going to be able to dive into them? Oh no.
It's a decent riot drill. Gets about 10 damage before it dissipates. And now you've got the artillery strike. Zero moving through the cat wall. They've got a lot of pressure here. I think Zero's just going to run at them. Hopefully they can find a kill. They get one. Should be a simple other one. And a wingman, too. I'd love to see it. Saw it in the hands of Sykes earlier. Is he also rocking a wingman? Because I'm loving the old school vibes there. Zero and Team Liquid. Sykes and Panic Apex clean up another one. Could this be their game as Falcons find themselves under pressure? I told you how much Elite had been playing well. Well, this is the other team that's vying for first place against them.
And try to take this fight here too. With the way that they're trying to play this rain day, Falcons are feeling the pressure. Free Thinkers in the feed do get eliminated, and Dart now just trying to see if they can get the KP, because Elite Esports, they know that they're not too far ahead and playing this very safely, but they have to get through the other side of Falcons. And once they move there, there's still that one player of HBM that is waiting on the fence line right next to Team Falcons.
Yeah, and honestly, this is a really good, patient fight. You know that it's easy in this way for Dark to think, listen, I got to push this. Gated to be like, we've got to find a way. We've got a little bit of Falcons. No, hold on. Let this game come to you. Falcons may be in a stronger position, though, in terms of being able to hold if third parties show up, so they've got to make a decision eventually. Once they get enough damage, it might be time to push, because other teams are going to be around this fight.
Look at this too, with the fact that only S2, with their journey rain day and holding the next zone, nobody else is there. Falcons forced to slam down, but in the process of this rotate, Elite Esports are in prime time. Get ready, set, go. It's the Mad Maggie Wrecking Ball. They try to capitalize, but they still get the res onto Gil. Dark having to look behind him though. Remember, we were talking about the soul of HBM? Now he's trying to grief them.
Yeah, and guess what? S2 is here. It's not just Falcons and Dark. Elite, excuse me, they're not going to be the only two fighting. S2 is around. Elite Esports might realize it digs staying alive here and just trying to maybe bait this out. At least can get Gilderson's down. Team Falcons goes out.
Oh, wow.
Incredible stuff. S2 probably will start to push in. And it's HUSS actually that will pick up on this side. So many teams around this as they look to run into flat and hold against S2 on the other side of the building.
That was such a massive fight for Elite, because even though they took out Falcons, they're still leading the pack. HUSS, I hear that Sheila very loudly, and Kimchi going back together into the Newcastle while they're trying to reset. You mentioned Ray Day. How many teams are within the vicinity on this fence line? Team Liquid looking at them, S2 looking at them, flat playing on the other side of HUSS, and the solo for HBM is somehow still alive.
A really good play from S2, and I think Team Liquid, these are the moments. 25 points for Liquid and 31 for S2. That's the difference between somewhere in our bottom 10 and somewhere in our top 5. Can they make the move? HUSS here trying to split the difference in the middle, both in the points and in the map. Kimchi staying alive, has the rampart. The Sheila pops up, and is going to get the kills. We know Kimchi goes down. HUSS eliminated. It's Flat who make the push. Big Louie. And now he's on the Newcastle using the old defenses, recycling them, and trying to hold off against Ninjas and Pyjamas on the other side, who are taking the opposite angle, and they see Team Liquid and they want to go and try to push that.
The fact that every single one of these teams are trying to isolate these fights and they're not finishing them quick enough. NIP prevents the reset, gets another crack, but having to be careful with Oblivion playing right alongside them and Team Liquid as they are eliminated.
Wow. Wow. NIP, they stay out of this fight for so long, and it is brilliant. The fact that we have not said NIP for this long shows you how patient they have been. They have been out of the mix, and now all of a sudden, it's their time to shine. They have high ground, but Vayne goes down. This is the problem. Now S2 look into NIP. Cole's got to work a miracle here. And Kuref maybe has time to get the res. Not going to do it. Carter trying to climb the fences here. Goes up. He come down. Is there an opportunity for Cole?
Cue the John Williams music. I just hear Jurassic Park in my ears because NIP with just a duo, they get the res onto Vayne. They're trying to pop the shield bats. They're looking behind them. S2 are playing very split up. They're trying to control literally two teams at the same time. It is for S2 versus NIP versus Flat.
This has been what Zach Mazer has come to do for this team. To be the IGL that can make the calls, that can direct his team and be effective. He's played Anchor this entire time. It stopped Stallions. Will it stop NIP? This is a difficult position to be in. Having to do all of this for all of the teams in front of him. But playing on opposite side of the cages, you're right. Which one is the dinosaur? Which one is the handler? We don't know who's going to be the threat here just yet. But it looks like it's S2. They find a kill onto Flat. And now it's going to be NIP versus S2. Kurev already without almost all of their health. Unless a Skynade comes out here, we're going to be looking for a Valkyrie Skyward Dive or just a survive off.
I was wondering, Rain, who's going to be the T-Rex? All of them are going to be shooting at the evac tower. It's the standoffs that you mentioned, and they have another evac tower. Can we get another one? Because it's just going to be inevitable. They're just going to try to shoot it down. No one's going to take that. But they go over. They use it as bait. And S2 losing a little range, but it's fine. With Zach still alive, S2 Dreams keep it together, and they take game number 5.
Wow, that was a fire in-game, Vicky. We have not seen a lot of those. Caught in between one side of the fence or the other, forced to go up in a masterclass from Zach, Loader, and Carter. And a special shout out here to Zach. I know that there's been some individual plays from the boys as well, but Zach keeping the awareness of how to play each of those difficult fights, from controlling space on the two teams, Flat and NIP, on the other side, making sure nobody could pressure them, keeping that on, but also surviving that fight with Stallions, where admittedly, they took the worst end of it early on and were able to kind of claw back, get the res, reset, and it results in a win.
And keeping themselves together, right? You have to play that patiently, but I have to highlight that journey for S2 was chef's kiss. They made their way from Devastated Coast. We saw them take that fight over in that northern building of Pylon. They still were able to rotate north of that, go through the team that was bunkered down, stacked on top of each other behind the rampart walls, and they took the dub with 13 KP after clearing the southern side of the fence.
Really incredible stuff. I mean, it just doesn't get much better than that. A 25-point game that is going to push in the overall standings our team S2 up to 3rd, and they're going to jump 6 places.
Wow.
Oh my God. I mean, Vicky, this top 10, so close. Sometimes we have game 5s that are kind of just, hey, play it, have fun, try something new. We already know the results. This is anything but that. Game 6 is going to turn out to be the decider for literally everyone in probably our top 7, certainly our top 5.
It's crazy to see how S2 went from, they kind of started off okay, right? They got 8th place on Olympus, but obviously Storm Point is where they feel at home. Kind of goes back in hand with what Gaskin was mentioning before, where they know that this is where they need to lean into those strengths, and being able to get the back-to-back where they got 2nd place in our previous match 4, and now coming on top for match 5, Rain Day, going up 6 total spots in the overall standings.
I mean, when you think about it, a lot of times you have a difference between 1st place and maybe 11th or 12th that's like 40 points, something like that. Some team has like 80 points. They've had a crazy day. We've seen teams with 100 points on certain days like that. And, you know, teams have 50, teams have 49 if they're lucky. That's a good day. Right now, it's only a 23-point difference. We just saw S2 have 25-point game. It means that you could potentially go from 11th place to winning this entire match day in Game 6. We'll see what happens, and I can't wait to find out when you and Gaskin get back on the mic to close out Americas.
Very different compositions going into this next one, as I'm sure everyone's going to pull out all sorts of legends to try and make things worse. We have 5 teams all within just 4 points going into this last one, which is insane. It feels like anyone's game out of these top 5, and there's even an outsider's chance for the likes of Flat or NIP with a big win here. So expect an incredible match 6 to finish things off in Americas here for this week. The real question is, who's got the bottle? Who's going to get it done? There's only one way to find out. It's Storm Point, baby. Let's get it.
Let's get this going here. We just saw an insane rotation and dub from S2. They went up 6 spots in the overall standings of today, 13 KP off that dub, and seeing how they're going to be able to rotate out of this one, because they did come out of Devastated Coast before. There will be eventually running into Team Liquid, who will be in Launchpad Zest Fest right behind them too, over on Echo HQ, where they have that ring console as well as a survey beacon as well.
Really worried about some of these squads as well who are going to be chasing points, because when there's a bit of a gap, like 20 plus points, you're like, oh, you know, it's possible. We could do it if we have this huge game where we get these kills and we get the victory, but sometimes you'll just run yourself into trouble as well. But with the zone heading up north, this is going to be fantastic news for Stallions. Remember, we had a zone earlier that headed up north. Stallions were in one of the prime positions as they were able to move fast, but this one looks like we're going all the way up to Wall instead. That means that NIP will have an easy rotation from Zoo Station as well. HUSS are going to be able to move pretty fast from Lightning Rod. Men of Culture also going to be in a good spot, and then Nice Guys. So a few of our teams who are right at the tippy top of that leaderboard, Vicky, are going to be in prime position for this last match.
But imagine for the teams that have nothing to lose, that send it all down and see if they could get any sort of additional KP. I'm thinking about the teams on the bottom end of the standings who do want to get a lot more aggressive. And with this early rotate from Falcons, they're going to have to play this carefully, because Men of Culture are waiting right there alongside the DBZ circle buildings, and we get to see the fight once again. But this time, it's Free Thinkers versus Thuggets. And so no, Nick Hayes and Orange doesn't even get to peel off any of the damage. Floorsee's able to find that pickoff with the Rampage.
Orange going down. Negative and Gary are going to have to retreat, it would seem, or at least consider it. Also, we're going to see a lot of Seer in this last one. Bangalore is the most picked, but the most popular composition is Bangalore, Cat, Seer going into this one, with 6 people having it and running it. But lots of Bang, lots of Cat, lots of Seer basically, and plenty of Valkyrie as well. Now, Free Thinkers, can they get the job done as a duo here? Negative takes a lot of damage from behind, so the answer is likely going to be no. It was just a distraction technique, as Gary with 2 Ys and a 6 is able to get away.
You have to be very specific with
Wait, is he Gary year 6?
Oh.
Is this what it is?
You know what? That would make sense. I mean, welcome to year 6 of the ALGS. Gary, trying to keep the dream alive for the rest of Free Thinkers, but this is going to be tough. You did hear that evac tower, by the way, so Gary's got to call his own. He's looking behind him to make sure that they're not going to try to chase him, but he's got to make sure, too, that they won't land exactly where he wants to find himself. Elite Esports, another one, as Dig is able to also find that knock. We saw a lot of action go down here early, because unfortunate for Men of Culture, they run into Falcons and they run into the other side of Elite Esports. See the Trident 2 with Oblivion now looking at Elite Esports, and Oblivion have taken control over those circle buildings that Falcons rotated away from once they took the zipline up towards Wall.
And we've already got, like, what, 12 teams up towards Wall already, just very quickly moving, and I'm not really surprised with how today has been. It's been a lot of fast moving as there's some clay pigeon shooting happening, and sadly, Gary, year 6, might have to start thinking about year 7, as now we are going to see 18 squads remain. Free Thinkers do get eliminated, but this could be an interesting one. Oblivion underneath Falcons. They thought about going up, but maybe they are a little bit more wise to this one, because that would be a very, very silly idea.
Yeah, absolutely not. Let's not grief ourselves. Oblivion have the opportunity to rotate from the northern side, and usually the least contested rotate too when it comes to having to wrap on the other side of Wall, right? So now as they do opt to go in that direction, Falcons are just gonna bunker down and will not be moving from the bunker side of Wall, but they've controlled a lot of that space and controlling a lot of the teams who do want to rotate from the western side of Wall, who probably want to play on the edge of that next zone. Legacy being one of those teams that do have that scan on the survey beacon, so they'll have that set of information.
God, God, look how tight it is to the top
Crazy.
of the leaderboard. With a couple of kills being found, it's now a 5-point gap between Elite and Nice Guys. But that is going to be swapping and changing for the entire map here. It's going to be up and down. We'll try and keep you updated with it as those points are interchanged. But also remember, you can look at the bottom left above the team names, above the player names, excuse me. You will see the points total there, as well as the ticker at the top of the screen, which keeps you live and up to date with how those scores are looking. Very important here in the last matchup of this day of Pro League, as Falcons are going to be more than happy to hold this position for now in Wall. They don't really have to move anywhere, but a team that is moving is going to be Elite. They are on the Trident, and they are making their way through.
Remember, there's still 5 more days of Pro League. We're still at the beginning of the action here. Elite Esports looking around, going to be able to just wait for the Trident to get back up to health before they're going to be able to decide where they want to rotate, because looking right behind them, over by checkpoint, it's going to be full 11 who are going to not only control that space, but get the information from not only the ring console, but the survey beacon, while Legacy are trying to gatekeep the squads who do want to rotate on that left side.
They're going to go through the choke at the moment. I imagine they could push through. They probably want to try and hit a few harvesters on their way, as well as potential survey beacons too. It's just going on the side quests. You know, get those missions done, build up those evos as much as you can, and worry and think about that zone a little bit later. Now for Team Liquid, it was a very slow start for them. They struggled on Olympus, certainly. Then they had a better game in match 4, and now they find themselves in 11th place on 25 points. They certainly aren't going to win today's action, but they still have an opportunity to surge up those leaderboards and give themselves more overall points to try and put themselves in a better position in the overalls on Pro League. I do think it is going to take time. I mean, one change isn't going to suddenly work instantly for a team like this, but they are definitely going to be a threat, especially when we start to think about match point and think about experience from all 3 of these players.
It's about the growing pains. We have to highlight it, right? And, you know, when we kind of make jokes about how crazy Roster Mania was, which thank God those rules came in place, it really begs the question of, okay, how long do you have to stick together to find that cohesion as a team? And Team Liquid, very slow start, but definitely waking up on Storm Point. They made their rotate here, uncontested on the choke, from underneath the tunnels up on the hill that leads out of Zeus Station. And as long as they clear their backs, they can gatekeep some of the squads that may also want to rotate around the wall side. Command Center has already been congested. There's like 3 or 4 teams already here, Zest being one of them, are looking at Unreal Nightmare and HBM also on the outskirts.
Liquid actually ended up in a really good position after the rotation too, as now you mentioned, this could be a very important fight for Flat in particular. Zestfest struggling a little bit. Unreal Nightmare also getting involved in this one as well. And there's so many seers in the lobby, and when you hit one of those Qs, it's always a good feeling, but also gives you that extra little bit of info and denies the abilities of your opponent, as Unreal Nightmare are going to get aggressive and push in. Flat still watching on and maybe waiting in the wings of this one, but haven't engaged just yet. Perhaps didn't feel like the time was right.
And Future 2, finding another member of Elite and even getting the finishing blow. This only leaves Dark as a solo. He's trying to zip away. And literally one shot here, he was able to at least get his shield up to health, but hopefully he is able to get these banners. He's got to go to a replicator now, and this forces Elite, after we saw them trying to take a roundabout rotation through checkpoint, now getting help by full 11 when originally they were holding the other side of the checkpoint joke. But I thought here, in terms of their goals, Gaskin, that they wanted to try to play for that objective, right? You're going to be able to go from the southern side of Cedo. There's no replicator there, but there is one closer to Cascade.
This is such an unreal chase, by the way, on the last remaining player of Zestfest.
Oh, no.
They're in 20th place. They're already dead. Why are we kicking them while they're down? But sadly, that will be their day done, and a pretty unimpressive 20th place finish for them, sadly, but I'm sure they'll come back bigger and better next time. As for Unreal Nightmare, they wanted the extra KP. They are one of those teams who need a big old game to find their way a little bit further up on these leaderboards, so I don't blame them for chasing. And now they have the almost entire southeast side of the map here that they can move on in, and maybe they'll go for a similar rotation on that eastern side and try and cut behind some of these teams.
Yeah, right, your game 1 winners here, kind of being quiet here, and with the Apex drive-by, I mean Apex GTA status, and they're able to get at least some free KP. They need it. And now trying to gatekeep a team still over by Zeus Station is Team Liquid. Once again, no other team are on their side of zone. Gaskin already mentioned it, but with the way that the zone is pulling, they want to make sure that nobody creeps up from behind them. S2 have always been behind Team Liquid from the very beginning when they rotate through Launchpad, and Team Liquid were just ahead of S2 in that turn.
I mean, what an opportunity it would be for S2 after that win as well. I mean, Zach Mazer, we know the history of that man and just what he can achieve and what an impressive player Zach Mazer is. And you pick up players like Carter and Lord of the Rings or Loto, whatever you want to go for. And this really is a team that is full of everything you could want in 3 players. Every role is filled successfully and they all have such versatility on their legends as well. I'm not really surprised that they are at the top of the leaderboards. I'm sure that Dia will be happy as well. One of the biggest Zach Mazer fans in the world, it would seem. Anytime there's a prediction available, he's going for Zach Mazer, baby. But S2 are going to have to continue to move here, and sadly, Liquid will be waiting for them, depending on which route they take.
You have to be happy when you see what S2 was able to do for game number 5, and Zach Mazer did the opposite of a Mazer moment. But I also like to highlight Elite Esports, the team that is currently sitting in first place with 49 points, did get the full reset. We got the res from Dark, and we are journeying through the deep side of zone as we take to the skies. You're forced to take this jump tower and fly over the heads of Team Liquid to find your own space up the hill.
Yeah, Liquid definitely had a look towards them, tried a couple of pop shots, but wasn't necessarily connecting with much. Oblivion on the other side also joining in on the fire towards this team that's landing in enemy territory, but in the end, it looks like they should be able to stabilize here. Are going to be able to have that catalyst as well to Dark Veil a little bit later on for extra coverage. And the real question is, are they going to be able to put themselves in a spot to potentially not just win this game, but try and win this entire match day? They're going to have to move a little bit further, though, because we are going to go deeper into wall. Stallions and Nice Guys are going to be 2 of the teams in prime position. NIP also, and then, of course, we've already seen Falcons on that western side of wall. They'll be in a good spot for quite some time. But the real question is, for Falcons, where do they go from that spot? Because the West won't be safe for much longer. And now Unreal Nightmare, they've gone and taken the high ground here.
And Falcons are still 1 point away from tying things up with Elite. That's something to say when Falcons have just been in a better position for this zone, while Elite Esports are trying to survive. Legacy, try to push in onto them. Let's jump into a listening with Elite Esports.
I'm taking.
Let's wrap Cascades if we can. Wrap Cascades.
Just come. Don't fight. One second.
We're good. They was banging.
Here. It's a team top right. Team top right. You're in the.
Yeah, I see that.
My cutter. Probably dead.
No way.
Yeah, I have an evac. We just have to play low-key as fuck and then evac later, okay?
They don't know we're here. We have to keep racking right, I think.
Carmi? It's right in front of me. Hold 3 man.
Shoot it.
Blow him up.
One.
Elite,
Killing them.
Okay,
Play for these kills.
Back one right here.
One of 3.
Yeah, I'm playing for kills on this. Through that, they're balconing, just chill. Oh fuck, we need evac. Pushing evac. Just take this, we literally just have to take this and pray. Oh, we're fucking dead.
Keep walking in, fuck it. Keep walking in.
I'm dead as well.
Taking the evac. They're walking in on you, Dark, I'm good here. I'm playing here.
You're gonna die, probably.
They're all walking in here, Dark.
Right here, watch out. On your right.
I'm just dead, bro.
I just have to take this evac tower and pray. The worst position to be in if you're Elite trying to fight your way into the zone. There are 5 other teams waiting for them. The exhibit is out and everything is exposed as Dig unfortunately goes down next, and Dark is just praying he cannot make it in and Elite go down. They were in first place, and as more teams drop, this allows Falcons to move up as they're sitting in first now.
If we go down together is how it felt with Elite. Sadly, they fall. Remember, they were in first place, but it's not going to be for much longer, as now placement points starting to arrive for teams getting into the top 15. We just saw 3 squads get eliminated at once, though. SRC going to be alive. Unreal Nightmare will be eliminated. That's going to be the end of their day as well. Started so well, but sadly just dropped off a little bit the further we got into it. And Source Gaming going to utilize this Dark Veil to just create a little bit of space on this southern side, but they are going to be focused and peppered in the back at the moment, but they finally find somewhere to call home.
Is it gonna be enough though here? Now, as Source Gaming have to move into that next zone, guess who has free pathing? Team Liquid, who are coming from the mountainside, and Purple Slushee, who really banked out on that northern building that we saw our previous team win on originally here, with Flat trying to sit up on the high ground and then Stallions coming through. Now have to move up, and Flat are kind of hanging out in the corner behind these rampart walls leading inside the wall.
said guess who, I was gonna guess, and you just spoiled the answer for me straight away.
Oh,
if
sorry.
it makes you feel any better, I wasn't gonna say Liquid. I was probably gonna say someone else. So I'm glad I didn't get to look wrong. Anyway, Liquid have been able to path their way through. Flat also have found somewhere to at least set up shop here with Rampart as well. So they're just making sure they're protected from that southern side. It's gonna be Purple Slushee who are gonna be their main problem. Now I asked the question, and I guess I didn't give you the chance to answer either, Vicky, of where would Falcons go? And it looks like they've answered it for us. They've headed to the southern side here. They're going to try and get closer to the buildings that Stallions find themselves in, which is going to be good because that's where the zone is going.
I think it's important to note how, what is it, a handful of teams have been rocking the Seer. I think we have 4 Seers, or 5 Seers rather, in this lobby to give them that information. As one of the teams not rocking the Falcons now could inch forward into this next zone, even if they have to play outside of a building. But taking to the skies is S2. Let's see where Zach Mazer brings the rest of the squad, because currently Sacred, they try to poke, but oh my goodness, with the drive-by, Stallions have to back away. They try to fully collapse on them flat, diving on top of their heads here. That one member looking if split, and Falcons get eliminated.
Falcons go down, and it was Stallions who get the job done as well. So Stallions now take prime position here. They're in 3rd place, but they are only a point behind both Elite and Falcons, who have now been eliminated from the game. Falcons probably have given up their chances of winning today's match day, because now Stallions just have to pretty much survive a couple of placements, and they would be good. But remember, S2 also in the equation here on 48 points, just a point behind as well. And now they're pushing onto NIP, but Car's gone down here.
Oh no, and kind of blocking his line of sight when he was trying to eat out the Arc Star, but it's fine. He still finds Cole. It's a big pickup. It's only up to Zach Mazer, but he can't turn around in time. Lord of the Rings has to make a crazy play. Popping the shield back for now. He's got the gold extended light mag on the R9, but lacking in some health. Source Gaming in the feed do get eliminated, but all 3 men from NIP are up. Do you play for placement at this point? S2 try to make a big play happen, and now they're down to a solo.
NIP on a late run here in match 6. I said it was a slightly outside chance, but if they have a big game, they could do it. And now they find themselves on 43 points. They are only 5 points off of Stallions, who are the next threat, but of course 6 points off of Falcons, who currently are in 1st, but they are eliminated. S2, their chances of winning might have been diminished here with their previous fight, but Lothar is definitely going to try and survive and see if he can maybe pluck off a point or 2 as Team Liquid starting to push in onto Oblivion, who are down to just fun. And sadly, it's not going to be very much fun for him, because now all the missiles start to swarm in, and it looks like Oblivion are going to be meeting their end soon.
It's so crazy to see Stallions. Not only were they able to wipe out Falcons with some help from Flat to get over to the skies, but they are now so close to taking over that 1st place spot. They are at 48 points with how tight the top end of this lobby was looking. Lothar somehow still alive. He's only got 94 bullets in the reserve for this R9. He's sliding around seeing what can he do, where can he play. Nice Guys also looking up at that solo, forcing Lothar to just dive down behind the fence line. Nice Guys may be hungry, but they have to make sure that Stallions do not wrap on their south side.
No white meds as well for Lothar, as Oblivion will eventually be taken down. And speaking of being taken down, S2 will fall, and that means they will not be able to find those points to climb up that leaderboard. Stallions, though, will, and Nice Guys as well. Remember, Nice Guys still in this equation and chance to win today with an outside chance for NIP. And to be honest, Flat still have an opportunity here if they were to find a win as well. Still 6 squads left. Flat might need a few kills to go alongside it, but Purple Slushee, they fall, and they will be the 7th team to be, or the team eliminated in 7th place, excuse me, as now Liquid. They are really rising through these leaderboards as well, Vicky, but are they going to get the opportunity now? Because they're on the north side and they are very much being focused by everyone else in the lobby at the moment.
Gaskin with Pluto going down at the hands of Arbor Lily. This sets up Stallions in 1st place with 50 points. This is another one of those Stallion maps. Oh my goodness, that nade from Sang finds 2 knocks onto Team Liquid. Almost like a caster curse, Gaskin here. You were just talking about how they've been able to get so many points, but they are isolated, which is important if they want to try to go for a reset, unless Nice Guys has other plans.
Nice Guys definitely have plans to try and do something themselves. Sang had the incredible grenade previously, but now it's the R9 that he relies on. His Team Liquid will be wiped in 6th. So we are down to our last 5 in our final match, and we still have the potential for so many of these squads to take this entire day. Nice on 53 points, Stallions on 51. You've got NIP as outsiders on 45, Flat on 42, and I think HUSS a little bit too far away on 36, but they can certainly still impact how this final zone is going to go.
Hold on, Sang with the 3K, a quick little deadlift there to put them in first place over Stallions, who are still alive. 2 of them were originally on that blue Evo shield, but it's fine. They get the next knock, and they're looking forward, looking to the right side to make sure nobody wraps up aside from them, and it's going to be nice guys who are aware. HUSS, NIP, Flat are trying to coexist in this building while this fight is happening between first and second place.
I like the positioning from Stallions at the moment because they have this ledge that they can work with, but their main concern is if Nice Guys decide to send it, and Nice Guys considered it, but that is a great way to force them back. NIP eliminated. They're not going to be able to win this match day, but it was a fantastic effort to try and catch up the lobby leaders. So eyes over to Nice Guys and Stallions for now, and Stallions continue to push through, and Alb gets the knock.
Alb is going crazy today. This is the Alb that I remember in true form. Finding Sang, 4 squads left, but they have to try to get this KP quickly because it's not like Stallions were able to win a game like Nice Guys. They cannot tie up here in terms of their score, or they'll stay in the second place spot. Taking this nice and slow, the calm before the storm, as Kimchi is up on the high ground together with the rest of HUSS, and Nice Guys mirroring that. We take to the skies on the Valkyrie. Where will we go?
That Dark Veil is going to be important, though, to cut this circle in half. And as you said, up into the skies means that HUSS could impact this final zone. Wherever they land, they could ruin someone's game and help someone else's. Nice Guys wait. Stallions from above will be able to kill the remainder of those players who did come down. And sadly, HUSS will fall. But Stallions, maybe the damage has been done against them here. HUSS might have just ruined their chances.
Still alive! They're still alive, but so are Nice Guys here, and they're getting more KP back to back. This is insane. It's only up to Cody. 3 squads left. Nice Guys. Skittle now. Stallions. The fact that they're still here means that they get the dub and they finish in that first place spot.
Skittle Cakes, you absolute beauty! Pulls off a madness there, and Stallions will take the victory and take the match day here as well with 64 points. They started well, they ended well, and they have just been able to sandwich this day with such an impressive victory. And I tell you what, this squad, we have to keep an eye out for them because we already knew Alb and Skittle Cakes were going to be an incredible duo together, but you add Sacred to that, and boy oh boy, I can't wait to see how they progress through Pro League.
Can we talk about the Valk plays at the very end right there? Skittle survived. He's such a clutch solo player. He took to the skies, avoided all that damage, and everybody collapsed on one another, came down from the sky, and just won the game, getting the finishing blow, playing around the rampart cover, the little tunnel cover that you have to work with such a tiny little zone closing behind your back, and getting that first place spot. I mean, he is him. You combine that together with these amazing faces, Albert Lily 2 popping off out here, but that was incredible highlight, especially after we also highlighted, Gaskin, the anniversary of the Valk release.
I was going to say, yeah, the anniversary, and we see yet another incredible Valkyrie play and just how important that legend could be in the right hands. In the end, it was a game-winning and match-day winning play from Skittle Cakes, but it was about the fact they got there. They got into that position. They had to win so many engagements. It was a brilliant effort from Nice Guys, we have to say. They put 17 points on the board. The fact that we got to a final circle like that, Vicky, where we still had several teams with the chance to win the entire match day. Rain Day, we couldn't have written better ourselves. What an amazing end it was to Americas today.
Yeah, it really was. And an end to an overall day. Just so much to highlight across our players' performances, the legends that showed up big, and the clutch moments at the very end that allowed individuals to shine. And to me, that was Skittle Cake's moment. And one of the reasons I got actually a little bit excited and not emotional, but I think there was a depth to this, which is great for a guy like Skittle Cakes, who isn't the most expressive player, not the most expressive person out the gate, but has so much knowledge of the game and so much depth to him that actually missed on the 1v1 earlier, lost that 1v1 to S2. That might have changed the course of that fight that S2 wins. Has the chance to redeem the team, and in the most important circumstances possible. And it just goes to show sometimes that letdown, that thing that doesn't go your way, that you're saying, well, that's just killed my pathway to a life I want, a situation I want. Well, that might actually be the thing that's leading to the moment that you get to raise your hands up in triumph. I think Stallions and Skittle Cakes have a real beautiful win to the day, and it came down to the wire. Nice guys were right there as well. Got to give a huge shout out to them. They did their absolute best. But, you know, how can you complain against it when Stallions are the ones, you know, they jump on, they initiate these fights, they get aggressive. I mean, Vicky, they made the lobby go their way by having that level of confidence and that level of approaching the fight.
Yeah, I don't remember, honestly, guys, the last time I saw such a tight last game finish for teams that were fighting for the first place spot, honestly. Like, what was it, 48 points, 47 points or so before we dove into that game, and then Stallions and Nice Guys become the heavy fraggers of the entire lobby, and I just have to say,
to third place, despite, you know, we were talking about the start of the season for them wasn't necessarily as big and good as we expected, but now they're up there in top 3. Of course, still other teams that have to play that third match week though, so there's definitely going to be changes in those overalls. But Stallions put themselves into second place after that victory. It's very well deserved. I mean, they played so well all day. They've been a pleasure to watch, and that team just seems to be getting better and better as the season goes on.
They certainly do, and whatever is working, Albert Lilly, I mean, you know, the opposite of Hal when it comes to what he does on the week, plays pretty much every game that exists and still comes into the ALGS and finds a way to be successful. Hal only plays Apex, so it's just a funny thing. We talked about the different leadership styles, how they can be different but get the job done. These are kind of different player styles that are different but also get the job done. And speaking of Imperial, Hal, second place in kills, second place overall. Sacred finding a way to jump ahead, though. What a game from Sacred. What a tournament from Sacred. Excuse me, a match day from Sacred, Vicky, in our Sony in-zone kill leaderboard. Well out front, but a lot of great moments from Stallions across the board. Maybe he just was that little bit of a difference in general, though, with these fights.
I definitely agree. I mean, every single time Sacred was right there, that was crazy too. We're talking about like the all-star lineup and getting the mythic bin into getting a gold R9 and then the G7, but it didn't even end there, right? Wingman in hand, they were just trying to clutch up every single time. But when it comes to fraggers, I'm scared on the other side of the opposition of Sacred, because the way he even plays movement, repositioning himself, this is such a good example of a clip of a player who has that self-awareness. Like, he literally is sharking behind Hal. These are all his highlights from just one match day alone.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about it. Something flashed in my mind of, you know, all these new players coming into this, like Sacred, and being a part of our league and dominating, you know, with their youth. And I think back 7 years ago, and, you know, Sacred's probably in high school at that point. I actually don't know how old Sacred is, so maybe not. But at the end of the day, the very first... to it, yeah. He's 17. Sacred was 10 years old, okay, when we started playing Apex. Now 17. What's interesting is like the level of player we have in Apex now compared to the level of player we had in the first couple of years. It's not to take away from, you know, the talent in our pro league at that time, but it just got to another level, you know, and technically, you know, in terms of ability, in terms of execution, in terms of like skill, I mean, movement, it's just incredible to see what Sacred can do, and such a bright future ahead on the Stallions roster, Vicky.
Yeah, and it's great too, because we have such a young talent making their way into the professional Apex scene, showcasing what years of practice is looking like for that new generation. And you even have players who've been playing for years, Rain Day, to finally reap the rewards of their hard work.
It certainly is exciting. I mean, one of the great things about it too is that when we get to have moments like this in the Pro League, what you should get excited about is when we announce, we've already announced where we're going to land, but when we announce the tickets, to be able to show up at an event, meet these players, because it's often a surreal experience, especially for those in the 17, 18s. I remember when Enemy was in LA and his mom was there, and he was around 17 years old at the time, playing for Disguised Host team, and it was just such a great experience to see someone that young take in the stadium, in the back of the stands, realize what he's created. And now hopefully that continues for a lot of our young pros here, and we're only 4 match days in so far, so very, very exciting stuff. Meanwhile, we had another team we had been highlighting. I've been talking so positively about their performances today. It's Elite Esports, and we have Dig with us from Elite Esports to have a chat and finish off the day and to show off how, you know what, we should be wearing our hair from now on. You're inspiring me, Dig. You know, I used to have dreads.
Thank you.
I know you don't know this about me. I have to bring this. I have to maybe throw it on the timeline or something, man. But you're reminding me of a young me. I love it. Congratulations on your guys' performance today. And I want to know from you, how does it feel? What went well today? We saw you guys have, you know, a rougher, slower, whatever it is, maybe didn't get it all right, all the pieces put together start to this season, but now you seem to have found the missing puzzle piece. What is that piece in your eyes, and why have things started to work?
To be honest, I think the first match day, I was just playing like kind of bad. I wasn't really confident in my calls, but today, like I knew all I have to do, like from now on, like if we don't play confident, we're not going to stay in Pro League. We're not going to go to LAN. So today I just went in with the mindset that we just need to kill people. Like we literally just need to get in their face and hit them. Like I know we can do it. It's just like I overthink a lot, so I was overcomplicating it. But today we figured out our rhythm.
I love it here because Rain Day was highlighting young talent. Dude, you've been playing Apex for a long time. I feel like I have seen your name always out here. It's been like, what, like 5 years or so, right? It's like since you were like 15?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's incredible. And look at the results that you're getting right now. I mean, can you kind of walk us through that journey mentally, though, and your journey on how you were able to get to the mindset being a young 15-year-old kid here? You're, I believe, 20 years old now. You know, we're talking about young talent, and how you've been able to get to the spot that you're in right now.
So basically, I played Apex on day one when it first came out. Then I played it for a little bit after that. I kind of quit it. Then came back around season 4, and when I came back in season 4, I remember specifically I didn't really care about who was like good at the game. I was just trying to watch comp, and when I clicked on HUSS stream for the first time, I knew I was like, okay, this is the team I want to follow along. So basically, I followed them along for a bit. Then I tried playing comp myself. I made PSQ year 3. I think it was it was preseason qualifiers year 3. First PSQ, I think we made finals, and then we ended up getting 20th, and I was like, damn, like we kind of suck. But at the same time, I was like, this is kind of fun, so I want to keep going. And over the years, I kept going. I played through CC with Varian Slater. We didn't really have that much luck. Every time we tried, like we got close to qualing, but not really that close. I remember I was 1 point, actually in my first year, I skipped that part. In my first year, in year 3, in the Pro League qualifiers for Split 2, I was 1 point off with Slater and Artsy. We were literally 1 point off qualifying for Pro League in my first ever split competing. And then after that, like I said, I was in CC for a bit. And then I found my first bit of success with Legatron and Blorzy. We qualified through the preseason qualifiers in year 5. Then we went to the Open, and we got top 30. And I was like, okay, like my first LAN, I got higher than like a lot of people. Granted, like it was easier LAN to qual for, but it was definitely harder to advance with how many rounds you had to play with the side stages and whatnot. But then after that, we ended up going our own ways. I played I played LCQ with Johnny and Wolves. We got 7th in match point finals, which was my first ever match point finals in LCQ. So that was like a massive achievement for me.
Wow.
And then after that, we ended up splitting. We didn't get our Pro League re-invitation. So I ended up teaming with Dark and Caden, and we just dominated the PSQs when we played this year. I think we got like 2nd, 4th, and 1st. And then, there we are now.
And now, you know, you're tied on points with Falcons today. Is it one of those situations where you tap back into that 15-year-old self and you're like, do you get a little bit giddy that you're like going toe-to-toe with Imperial Hal?
I was so excited, even though we got 4th. I was like, damn, I wish we could have gotten higher. But honestly, a 4th place, I'll take it. Like, it would have been nice to win the day. Like, I would have been freaking out. But like, I'm not mad about that. A 4th place is really massive for us.
And it's something to play for as well. I mean, I got to say, you probably don't need much more motivation. You seem pretty self-motivated because either you have a photographic memory to remember every single place you got over your like 5-year career. You were saying 7th, 13th, 12th. I'm like, how does he remember the exact place every time? Or it means that much to you. And I think it does. Clearly, you've got a vision for where you want to go. I'll leave you with that. And I want to ask a bigger question again that you can feel free to expand on or as short as possible. What does the journey now look like for you, Dig? You've kind of found yourself here. You're getting interviewed. You know, you're tied with Falcons. Let's say You've settled in. What does it look like now? What do you want to achieve with 6 match days left, and obviously potentially your first official LAN kind of outside of the open qualifying style up on the horizon?
Honestly, I want to do great. I want to go to LAN. I want to go to every LAN this year. Like, I'm really excited. I love this game too much. I put too many hours into it to not qual, so I'm really trying my hardest this year. Like, I really want it.
You just got it, man. Listen, I'll tell you one thing. When I played soccer, the dreads, they were a calling card. Everybody knew that was I didn't wear the yellow cleats, but I had the dreads. So you can always point me out. If you make it to LAN, you're going to be easy spots. So you got to get your signature ready for all the fans, because they're going to be seeing you when you're walking down.
I was going to shave the pro before today too. I was going to shave it yesterday, but I guess this might be a good luck sign to keep it. Maybe I got to keep it now.
This is. You got to keep it, man, at least until LAN. How about that? Hey, appreciate you, Dig. It was awesome to talk with you, brother. Honestly, do whatever you want with the hair. Don't let me influence you that much, but it's real fun to talk with you, and a great job today. We look forward to chatting with you more this Pro League.
All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, Dig. He is part of Elite Esports, who have a great day today. And a part of the journey is the PSQs and the Challenger circuits. And guess what? We've got more of that coming. If you want to be literally that person thinking there's no way I could be in the Pro League, well, Dig was 15, looking at this and saying, no, I actually want to follow along with this TSM. Who's that? This Imperial Halal? Who is that? Let me just give them a try. And it turns out he's playing against them now, tying him on points. So this could be you. April 25th to 27th is when we have it. Registration closes on the 22nd. A great start to this Pro League. Elite, from who we just talked to, their performance that day after coming out of a slow start, now 16th. That's a top 20. Still trying to make it into regional finals, but this would put them there. NIP overall in the leader position. Stallions right behind. Falcons full 11 stay close together in 3rd and 4th. And Team Liquid push themselves into 5th. But Vicky, it is close in that top 10. 2 points separates not only 7th place, but all the way down to about 12th.
It kind of reflects similarly to what kind of games we had in our hands today, right, Rain? Because even looking at the very end, man, 2 teams going side by side, lasting in the end zone. I mean, that could be a difference between your team skyrocketing in the overall standings here. And it really does give you some room to breathe. NIP leading the way just for a tad bit right now, but Stallions definitely have to be feeling good about that one.
Yeah, certainly a great day for Stallions. And I think this to me was kind of a Red Bull, so to speak. I think we gave some wings to America and this region, especially in this match day where, you know, we had some teams who hadn't been performing, clearly had been disappointed in themselves, Dan. And really, we're looking at, all right, well, is this the fluke, or is this how we're really going to go? Have we messed up and we're not bringing it back? Or are we going to find that little bit of momentum to get on top again, or at least feel like we can make a move in this league? I feel like the teams that needed it got it. And that just sets us up for, 2 more match days in the second part of our round robin, where there's, I think, even more competition on the horizon.
Yeah, I think the teams who needed it got it. The teams who didn't need it didn't get it. So it's going to set up for a very tight kind of next few match days as well, where every single point is going to be so important. And certainly we learned that America's very tight at the moment. The fact we had so many teams still alive going into Zone 3, going into Zone 4, sometimes even Zone 5, there's a lot of respect in this region as well, as everyone knows that every single fight is going to be difficult. There isn't going to be an easy one. Final thought from me with I think Dig looks like a young Jayhawk if he had an afro.
Yeah, okay.
And kind of talk like, you know what, if you think about it, if you listen to him, I think he does. So maybe there's an analyst future for Dig as well going forward. We'll have to see.
It could be. You never know. I like it. Plus, he's very, very well-spoken and articulate off the cuff, and I think he's got a future somewhere in the esports scene. Vicky, your final thoughts here, closing out a great day of America's Apex.
Hey, it's only day number 4. I highlighted in the broadcast, Rain. I'm so happy to be back alongside this amazing team, but it's even better to see how a lot of these players evolve, because if anything, looking at what we had from Dig and what he just gave as a speech to the rest of you guys at home also trying to shoot your shot, there's a lot in store for us, because we have not only the Gippy Dome bubbles, the different weapon metas that we have across so many different regions, but I'm excited to see how that continues to evolve while we have so many more match days to come.
Well, it's been great working with you both. I know it's been a long few days for everyone here, and obviously you guys have been putting in the hours, but Welcome back. Your first match day of the first split of the year. We'll be seeing you much more often, Vicky and Gaskin. But we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll say goodbye to all of you, chat, as well. We are so thankful and appreciative for you guys being here and being a part of this show. And most importantly, we want to give a huge shout out to EA and Respawn for making this lovely game. From all of us on a production side, from all of us on the talent team as well, and all of the players who put on the show that we get to watch and talk about. We appreciate you. We love you. We want to remind you to never give up, never stop gaming, and we will see you all next time.